Because you got powerful legs. How did you get the physique? Was it gym or how did you get the physique?
I've always been.
She's actually not got powerful legs. Do you shower in your dressing room? Do you have a shower on the day of a fight or not? Tell us about the tattoos.
Shut the fuck up, you little prick.
But then I've got the Phoenix.
Hey, prick.
So I'll take it from Bob every day of the week.
Absolute disgrace.
That's your knowing mind.
Move him out of here, Darren.
Ricky Hatton didn't go over for his fighter because he risked getting abducted and sold into sexual
I never said that.
Both have been rape victims. I'm not watching Frank Buglioni live on Saturday night. You're out of your mind.
Jesus Christ, get yourself a life.
He's actually a priest.
Yeah.
It's because his brother John Fury eye gouged him.
What have I told you all this time? He's going to end up sucked out, fucked out, looking for a handout.
Boxing nutters messenger group. I'm gonna be the king.
J-Pump. You know what I'm saying?
Welcome, everybody, to episode 534 of the Boxing Asylum Nuthouse. You can find it everywhere that you get your podcast. In fact, we're back up on Spotify. That seems to be resolved. I heard my first ad prior to the podcast on Spotify too, Steve, so that money just might be rolling in. You never know how this might happen.
35p.
There you go. Fantastic news. There's a fair bit that we could talk about. I guess some oddly decent cards here and there in the world of boxing. But let's kick it off with the bullshit. Of course, the bullshit being Dillian Whyte testing positive again. Not going to be fighting AJ. Finally got that chance he'd be looking for, and he managed to blow it. We wonder what the excuse might be. Is it the dog? Is it eggs? Did he get contaminated when he went to get his fortune told by an old gypsy woman? We don't know yet. Steve, what do you think his excuse is going to be? As at the very least, hopefully people aren't having to pay for this fight this weekend. Let's go with the positive on that one. Glass half full. That might not be pay-per-view now.
Yeah, I'm still thinking of the gypsy woman. I don't know. They'll probably make it pay-per-view anyway. You know, for me, adverse findings, a bit of adversity never did anyone any harm as far as I'm concerned. So are they going to hang him out to dry? That's the question. Or is he one of the lads? Maybe they're fed up with him now and they're just going to put the boot in completely. I'm not sure if the usual suspects are coming out. Let's just wait and see. There might be a dossier. There might be dodgy doctors. It could be dogs, as you said. They all went after Jarrell Miller and all these other people, but maybe Dillian will get a pass. But it's too many times now. Tell you what, this guy has made some money over the years. We talked about it in the past for his lack of ability. I hope he kept the receipts on these PEDs because he's always overweight. He's still shit. And yet he still keeps on getting massive opportunities time and again. He must have made his money. And he's pumping himself full of steroids, allegedly. We have to wait and see, don't we, Cougs, what's going to happen? Who's going to jump in his place? Is it going to be old dodgy mush brain Del Boy? Is it going to be Dempsey McKean? Or is it going to be, I don't know, Gerald Washington or someone to try and save the show? Poor old DAZN, man. Adverse findings in their end-of-year reports come next April, I think. I'm not really that well qualified to talk otherwise than shitting on people, to be honest. I don't know where this situation goes. They're going to have to just sort it out. Last time they hit the lawyers hard after the Oscar Rivas situation. But this is the third time it's happened now. We can't have another Conor Benn situation going on. We need to get it resolved. You're either guilty or you're not guilty. Let's find out. Let's put this whole situation to bed sooner rather than later.
Yes, all we want is resolution. It just seems to me, Andy, that Dillian Whyte is he's gotten far more opportunities than someone of his skill deserves. He was getting another big payday here. I mean, he gets skill to skill, current form to current form. I guess an AJ fight's not that ridiculous, but here he is screwing it up again. As many heavyweights just languish in obscurity right now. Someone mentioned Otto Vollen in the chat. Big Otto give anybody a good run, I do believe. So do you think? Let's just say miraculously, Andy, the truth just comes out. He gets nailed down, and he does have to suffer some consequences. Have we seen the last of Dillian Whyte, if that would be the case?
Firstly, good evening, Matthew. Good evening, everybody on the panel. Good evening to the listeners, and especially good evening, Edward. How we doing, son? I don't think
you cold son of a bitch.
I was actually going to add a wee bit more. Actually, I was going to say I'd imagine Vada had people at Vada had a very big smile on their face, notifying King Edward of Fauntleroy the news that Dillian Whyte had failed a test and that his flagship fighter was no longer going to be on the card. It's just an absolute disgrace, as Ozzy would say. Here we are again, a week on for some good boxing, some good positivity for the sport. With Inoue and Crawford, and here we are back, roughly leaving a week before, and you've got news. I'm agree with Ozzy. Actually, I was absolutely shocked as well. No surprise, but just shocked that it's come out that late. I thought it maybe have been far more switched on, shall we say. If you're going to juice, you need to have the timing sorted down. You have that tied down minimum, and I think someone posted yesterday. I think there's only been 6. Potentially 8 weeks of testing for this fight. I think it's 6 weeks possibly, and I've still caught him. So he's fucked up his timing somewhere. If he has been juicing, of course, Dillian's come out and said that he's totally innocent. He's never taken PEDs before, so we should all move on for that. Dillian Whyte's word is golden. Being facetious, obviously, in that, but again, we don't know what he's failed for, so we don't know what excuse is going to get trotted at this time. We don't know if it's going to be eggs, dog shite, whatever it's going to be, toothpaste. Who knows, mate? Who knows?
Maybe his dog laid an egg, and it's far more interesting than we could ever imagine.
Yeah, true, mate. But Steve mentioned something as well. He's made a lot of money for the sport. He's going to need that money now actually to get the same lawyers that he had in for the second drug test, the second failure. Sorry, they never saw the B test getting B sample getting tested. So will we see him again? Hopefully not. I mean, he hung on for long enough to get his chance against Tyson Fury. Done nothing in the fight. Got iced, and now he's coming out with statements saying that
he was illegally pushed over, Andy.
Oh, bollocks, man. He was fucking ice cold, man, before he even hit the deck. And he's coming out saying there, he's been hard done by, all this type of stuff. And that. I mean, dude, save me the story. I mean, if you ain't juicing, it's the top end of the sport. If you ain't juicing, then there's something fucking wrong. We keep saying this. You're just stupid because you got caught. It's that simple.
If you ain't juicing, then you loosen.
Yeah. Yep. As I say, there's evidence in that as well. If you look at the state that he came back, I think it was the fight South Africa. Did they fight in the Saudi Arabia card on the Joshua Ruiz undercard? I'm trying to think.
Yeah, didn't he fight Vac? Was it Marius?
Was it Vac? Go and look at his conditioning there compared to how he was before that, man. He was nowhere near as to what he has been. He was absolutely disgraceful, man, as you would say. So
fat as a pig, Michelin, man.
If he gets done for this, and again, it purely depends what his excuse is going to be and what he's been caught for. That, but if it's roids again or whatever it is, then obviously he's facing a lengthy ban. I don't know what age he is. He must be mid-30s now. He's put it this way: his career at world ranked level is over if he gets done for this. I wouldn't say his career's possibly over, but again, it would depend on what type of ban he gets and that as well. But this, you know how this is going to go. This is going to get dragged on through all the courts. You're going to have fucking mouthpieces coming out, dropping wee nugget lines here to try and throw the scent off and try and muddy the waters up, how we've seen it with Conor Benn's situation. We all know how this is going to get played out. Lawyers and money and fucking, it's just bollocks, mate. And there was a long time ago, these people used to say or Brits used to say about the Americans that that country was just known for juicing. Look at the last few years in Britain, the amount of fighters is getting positive for drugs. Not just recreational. We're talking proper peds and that as well. You know, elite athletes, elite fighters. And if you look on that UCAD website and that as well, for some of these folk that have been sanctioned, that it's rife, absolute rife for the top end of all elite sports.
Yeah, sadly, that is the state of affairs. But I don't know. I think there's that argument to be made that science is a part of sport. They find acceptable levels and keep it at that. However, you might get there.
But
on you.
Can we just call out Sam Jones? I'm going to laugh at this one. Sam Jones came out a number of months ago and stated basically something along the lines of Derek Chisora needs to be saved from himself, right? And here
and then he's saying Derek Chisora.
There he is, front and centre yesterday afternoon. Give him the fight. Let him save the day. Oh, man, fuck me, man. What are you getting for this? What are you getting for that one, Sam? Christ. Front line tickets for that massacre. Jesus Christ.
It's I think people are more after the retweet by the big names than they are after saying what is responsible at any given time. Well, here is another card which has been damaged by the madness of boxers. Would we expect anything less? It is a little bit of a dull period in the middle here. Oz, what are you thinking about Whyte is positive test, and what would if you're kind of playing with that card a little bit? We're not obviously going to preview the card yet, but if you're playing with the pieces involved in that card, who would you be moving up to fight AJ just to try to keep some asses in seats?
Well, Dillian Whyte to start with. Dillian Whyte must be the unluckiest fighter in the world, because this is his fourth failed test across, I think, kickboxing and boxing. 2 early on in boxing, and now this is the third, and then also one when he was really early in his career when he was kickboxing. Now, you're not telling me that this guy is just unlucky and he's completely innocent and he's not taking anything illegal. I don't care if it's a small trace or a large trace. This guy is a cheat. He likes to give it the big I am. There's a reason he bases himself out in Portugal, away from everybody, staying in the shadows, trying to tick along in the background. And every time there is problems with him. Now, this time it's come out before the fight. But I think that's because how basically he's the B-side in this. Whereas they were happy to sweep it under a carpet when it was Oscar Rivas because Dillian Whyte was the A-side. Now, for me, it's regardless. I don't care what the excuse is. If you pop once, unfortunately, being serious, genuinely, you can make a mistake. Or I don't care if fighters pop for coke or weed or something like that. It means absolutely nothing. Anyway, for this guy, he should be banned for life. It's as simple as that. Banned for life. We do not need to see Dillian Whyte box again. You cannot fail 4 tests across, two sports and still claim your innocence. How? Now, the problem is UCAD are a complete waste of time. They ban people like Liam Cameron who don't have the finances and slap, 3-4 year bans on him because he got caught sniffing cocaine. Yeah, anybody with any clout, whether that be Tyson Fury, who allegedly, tested positive. We've had Dillian Whyte, who said that he accidentally took some of his dog's antibiotics when mixing the food. We've had Conor Benn and his many eggs. If you've got financial backing, you can ultimately just tie UCAD up in litigation and they'll bottle it because they'll go bust. And too
many people stand to lose too much with them out of sport.
Exactly that. And then it goes away. So Whyte, of course, is going to come out and proclaim his innocence. It's rare you get a fighter who comes out and just goes, you know what, I messed up. I decided to do it. It's rare you get that. There's always an excuse. Always an excuse when an adverse test is found. And again, it's always boxing. It's a massive blow for Matchroom. This is 2 main events now that they've lost in the last, 12, 18 months or so due to drugs. That is, obviously Conor Benn, Chris Eubank Jr., and now it's Anthony Joshua, Dillian Whyte. 2 pay-per-views, gone. all because of drugs. Now, to save the card, I do think they'll look to keep Joshua busy. I know names like Otto Wallin have been mentioned in the chat. I don't see them taking that risk. It kind of backfired on them when they brought in Big Andy Ruiz, and he got chinned and lost his world titles. They're clearly planning towards this Deontay Wilder fight. I don't see them bringing up Derek Chisora. I think Dempsey McKean is certainly one that is realistic. That's been mooted about before. There was talk, and by all accounts, legit talk, that Hasim Rahman Jr. was going to be considered as well, which would have been a mockery. Who they bring in, I'm not sure. I mean, Robert Helenius boxed this weekend. It's not a good fight, but I would rather see that than Hasim Rahman or Derek Chisora. Ultimately, they're going to keep him busy. There's no way they're going to let this show collapse. And you can't run with Johnny Fisher in his Southern Area title fight, even though he's probably done the bulk of the tickets, and Derek Chisora against Gerald Washington as your main event either. So who knows? I don't know. It probably will be Dempsey McKean. What that means for Filip Hrgovic, I don't know.
That guy keeps getting jacked, man. He's had a rough go of it.
What you would like, if anything, is right. You know what? Joshua is this fighting man. I'll box Filip Hrgovic, because if he beats Filip Hrgovic, it becomes the IBF mandatory. And he gets he's in line, and the IBF are the one governing body that always, act on their mandatories, 99 times out of 100. I don't think Hrgovic is great. I actually think Joshua could beat Hrgovic. That would be a real statement to go, right, I'll box Hrgovic, final eliminator. That's not a bad fight, that. Instead, we're hearing nonsense names like give Chisora a go. Why? Chisora's done. I can't believe the board have sanctioned Gerald Washington to get a license. They had the audacity to knock back Big Daddy Lucas Brown, who's probably got more meaningful wins recently than Gerald Washington. Yeah, they're giving it the go ahead. So it's an absolute disaster for Matchroom. It's a PR, again, a PR disaster. All sorts of problems. Investigations are clearly underway, but it's curtains for Whyte. How can you trust him again? How can you invest money in him, potentially on the undercard or as a main event, when there's always the risk of him popping? But for me, he should never be given that opportunity again. It should be a 5-6 year ban, which ultimately curtails his career.
That would be what is just. But as we know, boxing, not always just. Joining us, Danny Flexen with Seconds Out. Danny, this is just par for the course with boxing. No need to treat it like it's a big news story almost, right?
Well, as we did exactly that yesterday, I can't really sit in my glass house and throw stones. But yeah, I mean, it is disappointingly predictable when stuff like this happens. But, the fact that it was only a week away from the fight, it was a fight that had been, hyped up loads. I'm not going to say one we're all looking forward to, because I don't think that's necessarily true. But it did seem to take a lot of people by surprise, which, considering Whyte's been in these sort of situations twice before, is pretty shocking. But it was a surprise. And, Whyte immediately came out with a statement saying he didn't do anything wrong. He's going to do an investigation. But the thing that got me the most was that he was disappointed that he hadn't been given the chance to prove his innocence before the fight was cancelled. I mean, I'm sure Whyte's got a great legal background, but how long does he need to prove his innocence? He's not going to be able to do it in 7 days, is he? So it was just never likely to take place. Once that adverse finding came back, the fight was off as good as, whether it was Matchroom that pulled the plug or the board of control. It didn't really matter. There was no chance that was going to happen. And with Joshua looking to fill time and then fight Wilder, I think that fight's probably gone for good now for Whyte.
You would imagine that it's going to be just off the table then, and you also have to wonder now. It's rough for AJ, who's already a mentally kind of iffy guy. He's going to be in a camp with the trainer who's just taken the worst loss of his career. No matter who steps in with AJ, Danny, do you think that we could be looking at another Ruiz situation just because he struggles so much for so many different reasons?
I just think the expectation level of people that I've seen in the past couple of days or the past day is unfair to AJ. You know, why doesn't he just fight Hrgovic? Why doesn't he do a trilogy with Ruiz? He's got 7 days and this is his second fight with a new trainer. A trainer who's coming off, you know, a pretty painful defeat in his own right as well. There's no way that I can see them taking someone like Hrgovic. Because, yeah, we all know Hrgovic looked like shit against Zhilei Zhang. But Zhilei Zhang's then proved he's quite a good fighter, actually. And not only that,
he did better than
Hrgovic
Joe
is actually a
Joyce.
very talented fighter. Probably. Well,
He
yeah.
did better than,
And you know, that was a bad performance by Hrgovic, but he's not a bad fighter. You know, very good amateur, looked pretty decent as a pro until the Zhang fight as well. And I can't see Joshua tackling him on short notice, having prepared for someone with a very different style in Dillian Whyte. He's certainly not going to fight Ruiz at this notice. And you've got to believe that anyone that's coming in that's not already on that show is going to be asking for massive money because they know that the show's in a hole. They know there's nothing they can do about the Dillian Whyte fight because he's, you know, popped for whatever it is. They can hold Matchroom to ransom. So the best thing Matchroom can do from a financial perspective and to keep the wheels on, if you like, is going to be to promote someone from the undercard. And, you know, it's not going to be Hrgovic, I don't think, just because he's too risky. Would it be Chisora? I mean, I wouldn't want to see it, but, you know, and I'd hope it'd come off pay-per-view if it was, but maybe I'm expecting a bit too much there.
I think it'll be that McKean fella, you know.
Yeah, Dempsey McKean. I think there's a good chance it'll be him. There's been talks about him fighting Joshua in the past. He's hungry, he's ambitious, he's unbeaten. I think he's got quite a high world ranking as well. So, you know, although most people might view it as a mismatch or certainly make Joshua a huge favourite, I think that's probably more sellable or maybe more acceptable than Chisora stepping in.
Yeah, there has to be something to keep the butts in the seats right there without potentially losing out on a good payday for AJ going forward. Because let's face it, right now in the Matchroom stable, the opportunities for the big dollar fights are kind of few between. They're trying to get Regis Prograis against Devin Haney. We're still kind of unsure what kind of marketability Devin Haney ultimately has at the end of the day. And through hook or by crook, he was finally able to pull off Wood versus Warrington. As we know, he's probably been eyeing that fight for more than 2 years at this point in time. So do you have concerns that that considering everything going on right now, that if AJ gets wiped out, that Matchroom is effectively getting wiped out as a top promoter?
I mean, looking beyond AJ, who do they have that's got, you know, recognized, measurable drawing power? The only one that even comes close to AJ in their stable, certainly on the male side rather than the female, is Conor Benn. His future still appears to be up in the air, although he says he's cleared to fight. UCAD says he's allowed to fight, not necessarily cleared. Who knows how long it's going to take him to get back to those sort of huge fights. You know, Chris Eubank Jr. goes and gets revenge on Liam Smith, and that's a huge fight once again. Maybe it always will be because of their surnames and their fathers. But aside from AJ and maybe Conor Benn, Matchroom stable's not looking too good from a commercial perspective. You know, you look at who the biggest kind of stars or crossover names are in the UK at the moment. Very few of them, if we're being honest, are in Matchroom's side of the fence. So, yeah, I'm not necessarily saying it's going to be the end of Matchroom. They've still got, you know, they're an established presence. Everyone knows who they are. Eddie Hearn promoting that, unfortunately. But then you've got, you know, Queensbury there, Boxer there. The scene in the UK is already too diluted, and we're not seeing the best fight the best in their divisions, even less so than we have in the past, because everyone wants to keep it on their own show and with their own broadcaster. So, you know, with Matchroom taking a hit, if Joshua gets finished off, they might go from number 1 or 2 right down to the bottom of those, you know, top table, if you like. You know, it's the worst we've seen Matchroom for quite some time. You know, they left Sky for the Zone. I'm not sure that gamble's really paid off. And now they're in a situation where Joshua's big fight, if you want to call it that, has fallen through. Maybe he can get a marking time win and still fight Wilder at the beginning of next year, and that will kind of save him. But even if it does, how long has Joshua got left? Even if he gets some of his best form back or turns things around with Derek James in the corner, I think it's fair to say his best years are probably behind him rather than in front of him. you know, you look at the Matchroom stable, who's got the potential to be a huge attraction, a huge draw on pay-per-view? It's really slim pickings.
I think, Matty, as well, just to interject quickly, a lot of people are forgetting some of the things amongst this pullout and the fact that AJ, who's he going to fight, DAZN taking a hit and stuff. The real important thing is here, is the boxing brunch going to go ahead still with the guard and Spencer Oliver on that afternoon? I mean, Matty, do we know if it's going to go ahead or not?
That's probably should be the number one question on all of our minds at this point in time. And if it's not, I guess our priorities are just out of touch with the general boxing fan. And Steve, maybe it's time to hang it up. It just might be time to hang it up.
Yeah, I think so.
So, and Dane, real quick, do you think?
I'm
Go
very
ahead.
concerned. I was just going to say I'm very concerned about the IFL Live event. I think that was due to take place on Sunday next week. So the day after AJ and Whyte, with Eddie Hearn, of course, as the star guest. So, I mean, I obviously, as the content director for Seconds Out, I'd be absolutely devastated if IFL Live was harmed in any way by this, if it had to be cancelled or postponed.
I think you're the only person who hadn't been invited at this stage, weren't you?
I think
there's plenty of space for you, though.
Yeah, I reckon so. Yeah, well, I need 2 seats anyway. Anyone who's seen me will tell you that. But yeah, I mean, it's a tough break. It's a tough pill to swallow for those guys. But, you know, I'm sure it will still go ahead. And you know, good luck to them, I say, in the most sincere voice I can muster.
And tell us what's going on at Seconds Out right now. What's new and exciting? What are you boys up to?
So we're doing quite a lot of stuff. I mean, we've had a good couple of weeks, to be fair. Terence Crawford, Errol Spence did really well for us numbers-wise and subscribers-wise. Jake Paul, you know, again, he's a polarizing figure, and it's certainly not my cup of tea personally. But he brings in a certain, you know, demographic that we've done quite well out of in the past. I think when I started Seconds Out properly, like full-time, 4 years ago now, I think it was, we were just around or just under 100,000 subs. We're now on closing in on 700,000. Not all down to me. I mean, most of it, but not all of it. I'm being facetious. But you've got IFL. I think the gap at the start was 200,000. That's almost been cut in half now. So I'd like to think we're doing pretty well. We're launching our live show. No competition to you guys, I should say. We're launching our live show tomorrow evening, which is going to be kind of a roundup of the week gone by. I guess Jake Paul might feature prominently in that because not much else has happened in terms of big shows. But yeah, so we're starting that. That'll be me and Eamon, who's been a fantastic addition to the team. He started in November. We picked the bones of the old Boxing Social /ID/BM Plus / whatever the hell they're called these days. And yeah, Eamon's been brilliant since he's come on board. We've always lacked a kind of lead reporter. You know, without kind of getting out the violin, our team is significantly smaller than all the other major YouTube channels in boxing. You know, IFL seems to have about 6 full-time reporters. We've got me. I'm not full-time because I do a lot of other stuff as well for Seconds Out, so I'm not really a reporter. Eamon's probably our only full-time quote-unquote reporter. He's absolutely brilliant at what he does, but yeah, we could definitely do with an increase in numbers, and hopefully that will happen at some point soon. But yeah, it's a tough beat, but we all love it. We love boxing and we love covering it. We love being involved in the industry. So yes, you know, living the dream.
Can I get a shout out for talent spotting Ames all those years ago on the Take Ames channel as well?
Mate, I noted that down when you said it, mate. And then years later, I found the scrap of paper. It's a bit like Titanic, you know, with the old lady. I found the ring at the bottom of the ocean. I was like, oh, Steve Wellens. I've stayed in his house once. Hasn't he got a pet goat? And then it all started flooding back from there. But yeah,
I told us that story, Steve. You got a pet goat. What the fuck's been happening there?
Yeah, I was gonna say you think it's his pet.
That story wasn't to be mentioned on air. We're going to move on. I think.
Joining the Masons.
He shouldn't have brought that up. I'm going to ice him now.
Well, that's why there's editing software, Steve.
I hope the goat's still doing well, mate.
It's dead, but thanks for asking.
broke the kids' hearts. It was a terrible moment. Anyway,
the greatest of all time is dead.
Ritual sacrifice.
Goated and gutted all at one time.
So before I let you go here, Danny, so Andy was saying basically there's nothing to look forward to. I mean, I think Valdez against Navarrete this weekend is going to be actually fantastic fun. But other than that, is there really anything that we might be missing on our radar in the next 4 to 6 weeks that we should be excited about?
I'm personally quite excited about Eubank Junior Smith too at the start of September. I think, and also, no, actually, I was going to say I'm also excited about Usyk Dubois, but I'm really not. I can't lie, not convincingly anyway.
Joyce Ile Zhang. I think that's what must be in the next 6 weeks, roughly. I'll be genuinely interested to see how Joyce comes back from that. Will he come back in heavier? You know, he was ultimately, everything he showed in that fight, and this iron chin, and it can. Look, he didn't get knocked out, but he was badly hurt. So I think that's an interesting rematch. That, particularly if Joyce can come in and knock Zhang out. Dubois Usyk's a weird one. I think that you essentially give Dubois absolutely zero chance, but one thing he can do is crack. So I would be interested if he does land flush on Usyk, just to see how Usyk takes it. But you give him little to no chance, and I'll be amazed if Liam Smith, Chris Eubank Jr. goes ahead. Absolutely amazed.
Wow.
I don't think that fight will go ahead, and I don't think it'll be down to Eubank. I think it'll be down to Team Smith. Personally.
Interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I think Joyce Zhang is a really good fight, really good rematch. I think the word on the street, and I don't want to give away too much here, but apparently Joe Joyce, if he hadn't had his eye pounded shut by those southpaw left hands, was going to win the first fight. So he shouldn't have too much trouble in the rematch. No, I mean, Joyce, how much can you change of someone of his age and his experience level at this stage of their career? He is what he is. He's well conditioned, he hits hard, and he can take a shot, just not several shots to the eye, to the same eye. You can't suddenly make him someone who does loads of head movement, punches off the slips, and counters effectively. He's not going to suddenly change at this stage of his career. So it's just whether this time he can avoid enough of those shots early on to last into the second half of the fight and hope that Zhang gasses. And I know they've relied a lot on the punch stats in the first fight that suggested Zhang was easing off a bit. He could have been easing off because he was so dominant rather than because he was running out of steam. But we know that he did gas a bit against Hrgovic. So there is that possibility. I really like Joe. I think he's a great guy. I really hope he does get revenge and slides back into that WBO mandatory position. But it's a tough one, I think, for him.
I think he really needs to lean into Zhang if he's gonna turn the tide in this one and just fight at a distance where he really can't get tagged by that straight left hand. Because I think he could definitely wear Zhang down if he can big man him against the ropes. But it's all a matter of can he find that distance.
I think Joyce came in too light, though. I think he was about a stone light. I think he was about a stone lighter than compared to what he'd been boxing at, and he then didn't deploy the tactics of trying to basically jab and move. It was the complete opposite. So I think he'll come in a lot heavier and like you said, look to potentially bully Zhang and not necessarily walk him down, but I think the extra weight will definitely hurt him. And he's a big guy. So I think we saw it with Tyson Fury against, when he really boiled down against Wallin, he looked weak. And because big blokes that size aren't necessarily meant to be, really gaunt and things like that. They're better for having weight on them. And I think we'll see a better Joyce in the fact that I don't think they'll make the same mistake twice. But Danny's right, how much can you change of him, really? He is what he is. And if it was just a weight issue and he comes back and he knocks him out, then fair play. But I think if essentially if nothing much changes, it's hard to see how he does win, really.
Yeah, you got to teach him the catch and shoot properly if he's gonna work his way in on that. But we'll see. That's not the most impossible thing to learn, I guess, at the end of the day. But nonetheless, anyway, Danny, any parting thoughts? Let us know what's happening, where everybody can find you, And just anything else before we let you go with your valuable time?
So at Seconds Out Live on all major socials. Apparently, we're massive on TikTok. Might shock you to know I'm not a huge TikTok person, but there's still time, I suppose. And we'll be live tomorrow. We're thinking around 5 p.m. with the first edition of SO Live or Seconds Out Live. Just rounding up what's been a surprisingly interesting week in boxing, as it's turned out.
Fantastic. Well, we look forward to that. And there's plenty of room for plenty of podcasts. And we look forward to yours as well. We appreciate you stopping in. You guys do great work.
Thanks, guys. Really appreciate it. Sorry about the goat, Steve. I didn't know it was a secret.
That's okay. Thanks.
Oh, painful memories. Painful memories. Danny, be well, sir. Oh, Danny Flexen from Seconds Out. That was a good time.
Are you really going to listen to his podcast tomorrow night, Matty?
I might check it out. I might not check it out live, but I might check it out during the weekend. In fact, I got an interesting message from Mr. Tommy Allen, who said he is soon to start his own podcast, and he's going to have a big first guest and to stay tuned. And I said, that's great. There's plenty of room for plenty of podcasts, right, Steve?
Absolutely, 100%. A big first guest. Not going to be John Fisher, is it?
You never know. It's obviously not the two of them sitting on the same side of a restaurant booth.
When's he running his new podcast?
I can't remember what time he said, but if I hear anything, I will get back to the people because we're always supportive of Tommy and his mini endeavor.
Absolutely. Lockdown Boxing. Is it Lockdown Boxing or is it a different one?
I have no idea.
Okay.
I don't know. I would have to go back through the snideness and see exactly what he said. God love him. But anyhow, so there we go. We'll see how everything shapes up. We'd love to preview what the heck AJ is doing, and there's probably going to be something amiss as we do preview the aforementioned AJ against question mark fight. TVA peeking its head in again, the little bastard. So we'll see how that turns out throughout the week. Never know. That might be a reason for a pre-fight podcast of some sort, Steve, to catch up on things and see what's happening.
Absolutely.
We love to give the people what they want as long as it's not nude photographs, which I don't think anybody would want. But anyhow, there was some action this weekend of the non-nude variety in Dallas, Texas. You had a card headlined by Jake Paul against MMA legend Nate Diaz, ultimately going the 10-round distance. Paul pulling off a decent knockdown with a little quick left hook in the 5th round, but unable to put away Diaz, who did fairly well in actually lasting the distance, absorbing a fair number of hard shots from Paul. To be fair, Steve, I think I am seeing development in Paul. I'm still not like saying he's a championship quality fighter, ever will be a championship quality fighter, but I think he's just kind of a decent level, like kind of boxer. Like, I don't know if he'd box for an area title or anything like that, but he is what he is. He's got a few tools, and he does seem to be developing because he can afford to have the right people on his team.
Yeah, absolutely. You know what? I know Ted says I couldn't give a toss. I was the same as you. I'm not coming round really to celebrity boxing, but I think this is sort of moving over into the realms of real boxing at this point. Paul is definitely improving. We saw against Tommy Fury that he's not at any particular level yet, but he is showing a semblance of skills, decent enough stamina. He was tiring towards the end, came back and had a good go. This Nate Diaz, I knew the name, but I don't know his previous record or if he's been through any kind of previous adversity. But he was clowning around. It was a good, hard-paced 10 rounds. The crowd were definitely getting into it. And one thing I'm going to say is, just to give you a bit of context for this, what I'm about to say now, Matty, but I enjoyed it. And sometimes we sort of look down our noses at these kind of events and say, oh, these aren't real boxers. But as I was saying earlier to Andy, I watched a fight last night. I say fight in quote unquotes in Spain between Mike Perez. You might remember him, the Cuban cruiserweight based in Ireland. Ended up having that ill-fated fight with Abdul Salamov. He fought a guy last night in the holy day world called Adnan Dironja, 12-6, Bosnian. And this guy was absolutely terrible. And so how can I, in good faith, turn around and say, oh, Paul and this Diaz guy is absolute shit, but Perez against this Dironja is real boxing? The fight ended after 43 seconds. He caught him with a left hand to the body, Perez, and a little cuff in right hand. And this guy basically took a dive and just went out. Everybody happy. They all clapped. They all hugged. And then went on to the main event with their business. Is that proper boxing? Whereas the likes of what Paul and your man Diaz turned up isn't. I would have rather watched that Jake Paul fight than that other shitfest any day of the week. So in context, I'm going a long way around this, Matty. I actually didn't mind the Jake Paul fight. I wouldn't have watched it if there had been anything else decent on over the weekend. As Andy said before, absolutely slim pickings. Saw DAZN on Friday night. Saw a bit of Showbox as well. Load of crap this weekend. A lot more next weekend. But the Paul Diaz fight was reasonably exciting. Watched it on 2-speed. Got through it in about 10 minutes. It wasn't the worst action of the weekend anyway. I'll put it that way.
Yeah. Kind of, yeah.
I agree. I bring
Getting us through. Did you watch the fight, Andy?
Yeah, I watched the Jake Paul fight, mate. I agree with everything Steve said there. I mean, because there was literally no UK boxing. I mean, obviously Steve was at the Belfast show there on Friday night. That was pay-per-view on Fight TV. I wasn't paying for that. So you can me, I'll go away and stick on a YouTube card and that. And again, it was slim pickings. You took what you got. You had a card for Kosovo that had a wee bit of interest on it. That card to Spain, a couple of names that were going to keep interest in that. But other than that, Steve says some of the shit on there was there was one fight on that Kosovan card, a Level Gang Mashito, I think his name was, right? He comes from South Africa. It looked like he had never even seen the inside of a box ring before the way he moved about that ring. He couldn't throw a jab properly. His foot movement was shocking. Somehow he's managed 10 wins in his career. Don't know who against. So, I can understand, if you want to rag on Jake Paul, he's not a legit boxer, but some of the shit we've seen this weekend, rocking up on these undercards, that propping up this shit out in Kosovo and out in Spain, at Steve says, the Hotel Holiday World Benalm de Andalusia. It was just garbage, mate. Absolute garbage. And at least, as I say to you guys, I don't know UFC, I don't watch a lot of MMA, but I do know that in his prime at least, Nate Diaz was a bad motherfucker.
He was.
Okay, I don't know what his discipline is. I don't know if it's Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu or if it's judo or whatever it is, but I think he was more like a ground fighter. But I was glad that he actually put up a bit of a performance later on in that fight. He wasn't disgraced as such. He was breathing a bit heavier, I thought. I mean, the guy smokes tons of weed, man. I wasn't expecting to be fucking great shakes.
He's my age and probably smokes as much or more than me, man. I felt it, Nate. I felt it.
I mean, but I thought he'd done his best. I don't know if it was his pro debut or what, but he was guillotining Paul from time to time. He was playing up to the crowd. He wasn't disgraced as such. I know he got dropped heavy in that, but I would say that Paul's more a kind of legit bigger guy in terms of weight, like. And Paul's obviously been training in boxing discipline for a number of years. As I say, Diaz he's got his own discipline in that, but he put it up, basically put it that way, and he wasn't as good. I wasn't wanting to see a guy like Nate Diaz get stopped, or fucking guy like Jake Paul, right? But as I say, he put up a good showing toward the end, and made Jake feel it a wee bit down the stretch in that as well. So as I say, that was the only fight I've seen in that card. I was interested on the women's fight. As I says, when I was left after having to watch out with a few beers over the course of the weekend in terms of Spain and Kosovo, it was poverty boxing we got. But as I say, Steve says that main event on DAZN was entertainment anyway, at least because you could actually hear the folk wanting Diaz to win that fight.
Yeah, the crowd was into it. It wasn't junk, and Diaz actually, his technique isn't great, but he was an all right striker in his career. Definitely more of a submission guy. He is a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, but he's definitely it's mixed martial arts for a reason. He is well versed in a few of those techniques. But Declan Graffin throwing a $1.99, not saying anything, just throwing it in. Thank you, Declan. Got Andrew Thickett says, genuinely enjoyed Jake Paul's fight so far. An interesting experiment and development. Suspect his team is building him up to a Conor McGregor fight in a couple of years. We shall see, sir. We shall see. Michael Thompson says, to be fair to Jake Paul, he seems like he's taking it seriously as he can, and he's done well for Serrano. That he has as well. Michael, Oz, did you happen to catch this? I know, there's enough shit shows about. This is just one of many, and one on the better side, I guess, of things.
I did, yeah. I thought it was, a fairly steady performance, to be honest. I thought the left hook was a pretty decent shot, actually. I don't think, Diaz was, massively hurt, but he caught him completely off balance, legit knockdown. It's a proper shot, and be fair to Jake Paul, he takes it genuinely more serious than Tommy Fury. I know,
he's not dead in a rematch. I see what you're saying.
Absolutely not. No way. And if you look, Paul saw all sorts of reasons after it. He'd been ill and this and that. But off last night, I actually think he probably would have beaten him. And you say about he fatigued towards the back end of it. What's he had, about 8 fights? Not many pros who turn over, boxing 10 rounders after 8-9 fights. Realistically, albeit the opponents aren't fantastic, but Steve made a really good point. It's easy to criticize this. Diaz comes from MMA, etc., that sort of stuff. But some of the goonies that we've had on undercards in the UK have been appalling. Theophilus Tete boxed Anthony Fowler. He didn't even have a pair of boxing boots on where he could stand up. He kept falling over. He basically had to try and scratch the bottom because they were horrendously bad. Got knocked down 4 times in the first round. I think Fowler farted and he fell over. And they waved it off, and I think he got his purse pinched. I remember another Ghanaian coming over against Luke Blackledge, basically folded over, had his purse taken away. Some of the clowns that you see come over, are awful. And you think, how do you have a license? And there was talk a while ago, basically that they build up these padded records, boxing in whatever, Latvia or these other Eastern European countries, or, if they're from Africa, they just box absolute no marks in, the prison canteen. And they come over for these paydays, somehow get a Commonwealth title shot. So last night's main event, I've seen far worse. And, was it the highest of quality? No. But does Jake Paul actually proclaim to be a world level fighter at all? Does he have dreams of boxing for a world title? Yes. But, Dave Allen has dreams of boxing for a world title, and, he's not won anything. So to go in at Paul, he's actually showing improvements. God knows who he's going to box next. Realistically, it's not going to be. Jake Paul does not box boxers as such. He boxes people of name. Tommy Fury did that because he went on Love Island and became this big crossover name for boxing and for, your average Joe on the street. If it was just a random, 9-0 fighter who boxed for an area title, Jake Paul wouldn't be going anywhere near him. So he boxes people with a name, not necessarily with all the ability in the world. So who he goes with next, I don't know. But one thing he does do, he does take it seriously. And the best point somebody made was he has done unbelievably well for Amanda Serrano, but also the other people that get opportunities on his cards as well, because they are well watched and people do attend. The pretty much, relatively full, if not sellouts. And those people on those undercards, it beats boxing in, a random small casino or hall in America. Because remember when Trevor Bryant boxed Daniel Dubois, it was in like some school leisure centre. It was an absolute dump. So at least Paul puts on proper events. So again, we've given this a lot of airtime purely because there was absolutely nothing on across, the US, pretty much all of Europe, the UK.
Yeah, if you take the women's fights off of there and kind of collect the fights, I don't know what you saw off the card. I mean, I would say it was basically like a showbox kind of card. Like it was,
yeah,
like that was kind of where it was. Like some people in different stages of development. You got an old vet, give Diaz his credit. I mean, he's got over 30 MMA fights, etc. And that's where it was at. I thought that the best fighters on the card were the women. And if there
I agree.
And if there were 3-minute rounds, there would have been 2 stoppages. There's no fucking way
it doesn't
those women would have survived 30 minutes with Serrano and Green.
Yeah, Heather Hardy must have really fallen out with her corner because they kept her in there from about round 5 and she was getting the living daylights kicked out of her.
It's the same thing in their first fight, man. Same fucking thing.
It should have been waved off. The referee should have got involved and just thought, look, you're not winning this. We'll just save you for another day. But I like Serrano again, and she has benefited from what probably started out as a bit of, an experiment and, like, let's see how it goes with Jake Paul, because when he did turn over, he was boxing, did he box like a basketballer and some other YouTuber or something like that? And then Ben Askren turned up like he'd just been in an all-you-can-eat Chinese
Wasn't it him and KSI that fought first of all, or was that his
No,
brother?
that was Logan Paul.
That was his
That was
brother.
Logan Paul, actually. Yeah. But then he has built up, he then went to, Tyron Woodley, Anderson Silva, Tommy Fury, Nate Diaz. So, he has boxed slightly better people, with, some sort of fighting ability.
That Silva win is actually a pretty decent little win because Silva beat Chavez Jr. I mean, lump that he fucking is. I mean, he is a boxer.
Yeah, but mate, is he not like 55 or something like that, or just
40? I think he was 48 at the time, something like that. Yeah.
But I understand your point that he does have fundamentals from where he can box, but yeah, he's an old man. But yeah, again, look, it's better than this nonsense that Wasserman keep promoting, this misfit boxing from where you see in the press that Joe Blog or boxer Joe Blogs, that cow who got her tits out after after winning a fight, and it says, oh, they refer to her as a boxer. She's not a boxer, and that is actually insulting towards the likes of Chantel Cameron, Katie Taylor, even Ebony Bridges, who, these are legit fighters, not these clowns who get in a ring and think, oh, I'll put a pair of gloves on and then, decide I'm going to be a boxer. But, it sums up Callum Howland in a nutshell. He destroyed the career of Maris Bradis, had him chasing around Jake Paul dressed as Super Mario. And now he promotes all this misfit nonsense, which is that is a complete waste of time. That is a freak show. And that is something that we won't give, we won't review those fights, for example, if one of the cards happened this weekend. But Jake Paul's a legit boxing shows, Nate Diaz had to get a license. We all know it's not really difficult to get one, but he had to do that. It's logged as a proper. Yeah, well, it's logged as a proper. He's now 0-1 as a pro. I think Paul's gone to like 8-1 or something like that. The proper fights, and are they the best? No, but for the amount of shocking stuff that we see week in, week out, it's certainly not the worst thing that we've ever seen.
No, and like I said, I thought the women gave a good performance. Shadeja Green's knockout streak ending, not for lack of trying. Her opponent, Olivia Curry, just very, very tough. There are a couple of moments where the referee could have kindly pulled the plug on that, and it would have been fair. Interesting to note, Ann Wolf in the corner of Shadeja Green now. I think that's a heck of a cool pairing. We'll see how that goes moving forward. Looking forward to Green taking on Savannah Marshall here, hopefully in the near future. On that card on the men's side of the ledger, I thought Ashton Silva gave a very nice performance with a fourth-round knockout of veteran William Silva with a heck of a body shot that he whipped in there. He also scored a knockdown in the second round with a body shot. This kid, 19 years old, one hell of an offensive force. We'll see how he develops. And also Alan Sanchez taking a decision over Angel Beltran, taking a unanimous decision there. And that was on the Prediction League. For those in the Nutters group, I can't even remember who the hell I picked. Hopefully I picked correctly. We shall see.
I picked the other guy.
Son of a bitch. Well, damn it. We'll see if both of us.
Yeah, I picked the other guy as well. I had absolutely no idea who those two were. I looked at the records and thought, yeah, I have no idea. And I went with the other guy. And shock, lost.
Son of a bitch. But did you happen to see that knockout with the Ashton Silvas?
I didn't know. No.
Did any of you guys get a chance to see that before we started?
No, I didn't see the undercard, just the main event.
Yep. Put that stoppage on your list of things to do. It was a fantastic shot by Ashton Silva. I do think as far as the prospects went on the card, he's a standout, especially at 19 years old. So you guys get on that one. Worth your time. Good looking prospect. Joining us on the call today, we got a couple of people who just jumped on. First, let's swing it over to Rappin' Rob Kelly real quick. And we also got Smitto with us. Hang tight, Smitto. Rob, Did you see anything of this weekend? And also, feel free to bitch about Dillian Whyte being a drugs cheat. You know, it's crazy times. Crazy. Who would have predicted such a thing?
Well, fool me once, shame on fucking whatever the way that goes. 1 time's the lollipop, 2 times the sucker. I don't really give a fucking flying fuck about Dillian Whyte failing a drug test because I didn't want to see the fucking fight anyway. Dillian Whyte is 35 years of age, is he? 35 years of age. He's 2-2 in his last 4. The 2 losses have been knockouts to the Ghost of Povetkin and Eddie Hearn's back garden, and knockouts to Tyson Fury after he bitched and moaned.
Bless you, Rob.
To get into a mandatory position and held the landscape up. Fucking up a super fight between Joshua and Fury by taking his mandatory position instead of taking a stand aside, only to offer nothing in the fight and get fucking KO'd. And the 2 wins have been against the revenge one against the old man Povetkin, and a fucking fight that he probably lost against Jermaine Franklin. Anthony Joshua is 33. He's 3-3 in his last 6. The 3 wins being fat as a pig, Andy Ruiz, Mitchell Man out in Doha, a gun-shy performance against Kubrat Pulev, and a fucking other gun-shy performance against Jermaine Franklin. Who gives a fucking flying fuck? Let the 2 of them take as much drugs as they want, and nobody gives a shit about this fight. As much as we bitch about all the bad things that happen, like the Conor Bain thing, the Matchroom, the DAZN, the fucking pay-per-view prices, the fucking other side of the street, the cartels. 2023 has been a great year for boxing so far. We've had Tank versus Ryan, we've had Haney versus Lomachenko, we've had Inoue versus Fulton, and we just had Bud Crawford versus Errol Spence. I don't give a fuck what Dillian Whyte and Anthony Joshua are doing. The 2 of AJ's waiting for a big payday, right? He'll fight some other bum of the month while this is all taken care of. Of course, fucking White's going to come out and go to fucking, wasn't me. Well, we caught you. Well, it wasn't me. Well, I'm looking right in your face. No, it wasn't me. Well, maybe it wasn't you in your fight again. Like, what's going to happen here? No punishment is going to be issued. He's not going to face a lifetime ban. He's not going to face a fine. He'll fucking say he didn't do it. Hire knots in litigation. He'll offer an excuse that he was feeding his fucking dogs steroids like the last time. And he'll pass. They'll say, oh, you should have believed in Dillian Whyte. He was telling the truth all along. Who gives a fuck? The 2 of them are finished in the heavyweight division. Let them fight each other or not fight each other. I couldn't care less. As far as anything that went on over the weekend, I don't want to see fucking Nate Diaz getting beaten up by Jake Paul. Like, chap's fucking 38 years of age, out of shape. Looked like he wasn't even training for the fight. He looked fucking stoned half the time. Like, honestly, it didn't really even look like he was taking the whole event seriously. That's not for me. Like, I'm not saying it's... I was just making a good point that it's a level above the misfit stuff. He put in a really good
effort considering that. I thought the same thing as you, Rob. I thought that he looked totally disinterested. But he tried.
It's but trying against what is it like? It's fucking, it's not worth my time thinking about what all the other good fights are happening, and that's just the way I feel about it. Like, it's not for me. I get it. Like, it's a level above the misfit stuff, and Paul tries and he lives the life of a fighter, and I do have a bit of a massive admiration for him actually for paying fighters and for fucking going the proper boxing road. But it's not for me, man. He's still terrible. As good as he's getting, like, he still looks like a fella who's never fought before in his life. For me, it's just not. It's not engaging for me. I understand why the younger people are into it now, but it's just not for me. And as far as Dillian Whyte with the drugs cheating, like, what can we say? It's part of the sport, isn't it? Like, it's part of the sport. But who really gives a fuck about them two? Over old news, the 2 of them, 2 old hats.
Old hat, he says. Old hat. Smitto. This was to be expected, I think, to some degree or another, but as I asked the gentleman from Seconds Out earlier, it does kind of seem like if AJ manages to screw up this weekend with a replacement opponent, the Matchroom pyramid could very well be falling to the ground shortly.
Well, you'd have to think that they're pretty terrified at the prospect of a replacement opponent at 7 or 8 days' notice. I mean, we know what happened last time that they did that. Probably of higher quality, but they're certainly not short of options on the undercard. We can pretty much guarantee you it won't be. But if it's the likes of Chisora, I think that is an utter embarrassment. But just on Dillian Whyte, I'm only here for one thing and one thing only, really, and that's to continue where Rob started in just hating on Dillian Whyte. just a waster. I mean, I'm happy to give a bit of a Dillian Whyte career update for those that want it. He had a drugs ban basically before any of us actually heard of him. Knocked out clean by AJ, went the distance with Dave Allen, life and death with Chisora, rocked by Hellenius, beat a fat slob Lucas Brown, life and death with Parker, failed a drugs test, life and death with Rivers after changing gloves without consent for that fight, no B sample. Then he fought a fat mess whack and was a fat mess himself. Iced by Povetkin, beat a COVID drained and finished Povetkin, waited 1,000 days to be KO'd by Fury in an utterly embarrassing effort on the biggest stage of all. And then he's got a split decision win over the danger man, boogeyman of the heavyweight division, Jermaine Franklin. Then he's failed another drugs test on what will be surely his final opportunity at a proper payday. So it's just embarrassing, really, as time goes on. These two, as Rob alluded to, are both, you know, I mean, it would be difficult to say AJ's B level in the heavyweight division, but they're certainly not their top priorities in the heavyweight division. They've both stepped up quite recently and both been beat. We've talked about their recent records. I mean, just this drug stuff generally, I think they're all at it. I don't think that's a groundbreaking or particularly original thing to say. Yeah, they're all at it, and just now and again, a couple of them get caught. I mean, it's the Wild West in terms of commissions and jurisdictions and who's doing the testing, who's paying for the testing, VADA, WADA, USADA, whoever the UCAD one is. It's just all a mess. I mean, it'll probably come out. We know the script, don't we? We know the script. He's going to come out, say it wasn't him, trace amounts, whatever. Go through it, threaten to take legal advice for a year, basically serve a ban on the quiet, threaten to bankrupt the British Border Control, and then yeah, they'll all sign NDAs and they'll go off quietly. And really, it's the blueprint's there from Tyson Fury. He basically served a 2-year ban, but everyone, the casual man on the street thinks Tyson Fury is a working class hero. I mean, they're likely to come out with trace amounts. I know we've not got a lot of detail on the Dillian Whyte stuff yet. It might come out and probably won't. But using trace amounts as a defence has proven successful for a lot of these boxers, including Whyte himself, actually. But they've managed to convince people that trace amounts mean, it's just above zero, and it's an honest mistake. But really, I think you should look at it the other way around. Trace amounts of a larger dose, and they've got the cycle wrong or the masking wrong, and they've been caught by, possibly improving science or whatever it may be. I mean,
well, it's already parts per million. It's fucking traced by basically for definition.
Yeah, but they're not meant to be. We're talking about stuff. We're talking about substances that aren't meant to be there in the first place. So for something that is, I mean, I know there is some that, like testosterone, you can get heightened levels and stuff, but a lot of the substances they're not meant to be there. Full stop. So it's black and white, and for something that should be so black and white, they always manage to find a lot of grey areas. I mean, the only way really to serve and get a drugs ban in boxing is to admit you took something, and no one's ever done that. Even Larry Olubamiwo lied to start with and said that he tried to mitigate it, but now he admits it, but it's too late anyway. His career's over. So there's no one out there admitting it. We've seen every excuse under the bus, from Mexican meat to wild boar meat to me dog ate it to me brother Spike meat, whatever it may. It's a joke. And whilst there is chaos and it's an ongoing theme, people will take advantage within that chaos. The WBC, the VADA, the WADA, what I've already mentioned. I've long thought that they're all at it, and those that have bigger pockets than the testers, which is most of them at the top level, they train all over the place to help avoid tests or whatever that may be. Portugal, Texas, Tenerife, Marbella, Dubai. Some fights don't even have any testing at all. And the worse than that, they don't have to have testing in a lot of these jurisdictions. There doesn't have to be mandatory testing, and that's possibly the scary part. But like I say, even if they do get caught, that's where the big pockets come into play. They threat the British board with bankruptcy, and away you go. We've seen it before. Conor Benn, obviously, that's ongoing now. But I've said, in all seriousness, the likelihood that someone has already been seriously hurt or worse at the hands of a drug cheat is pretty likely, in my opinion. And no one other than the drug cheat and his immediate team will know that. And that's a scary thought when you think about it. It is the Wild West out there. And just final point, I think many of us will have seen this beacon of journalistic hope that is Simon Jordan having a go at Fastcar, saying that he couldn't cancel the Ben fight, but then he has cancelled this one. He's probably right to cancel it, but it's hypocrisy by the looks of it. So it'd be interesting as the story, develops and the narrative is woven. And will we ever get the truth? Probably not. We don't really get it about anything. And where we started, Joshua, he is in a pickle. He is in a pickle because late opponent changes, haven't proved good for him before. They still want to stick to this so-called plan that Derek James wants him to have another fight before going into Wilder. That plan could go up in smoke. I know everyone's saying they'll get him another opponent, and I'm not sure they will. I think we could see the show go ahead, no Joshua, and go straight to Dubai or wherever it is for Wilder. I can see that happening, and I do not want Chisora. That would be genuinely a disgrace.
Good evening, Eddie.
Woo! Man,
sorry, Smitho. Did anyone see the interview with David Hay where he said that he'd been speaking to Chisora and Chisora's been telling him for the last week that Whyte's failed the drug test and I'm in? It was an interesting one on Radio Raheem. It came out yesterday.
That wouldn't surprise you, would it? That wouldn't surprise you.
Wouldn't surprise me in the fucking foggiest. But what do they want to do? Kill Derek Chisora? He's on the way out as it is. Fuck me.
Derek Chisora has been a shot fighter since before Takam. I know he beat Takam, but he was basically stood in the corner like an old sparring partner. And he's still going. I mean, how long was Takam? 4 or 5 years ago, and he's still going. There's no way you should be fighting Joshua. No way.
We'll see what happens. It's going to be an interesting week. At the very least, that we got that going for us. It's going to be an interesting week on that front. And
can I just jump in a minute and just ask Smitho about? It's one other large guy. He's not a fighter, but he's a father of an up and coming heavyweight. We all know he's a big fan of his, and that is the man in my picture. Smitho, what do you think of big Bosch man John Fisher?
I don't know,
and also, Smitho, do you want a burger?
I know that the original Boxing Asylum WhatsApp group has now almost disbanded, and this splinter WhatsApp groups, etc. That some people like me aren't included in, but. This obsession with John.
It's not even true. Well, maybe I'm not in either.
I'm not in it either. So
I'm not in it either. So.
This obsession with Johnny Fisher's dad is very childish. I don't even find him funny. I just don't get. I just wish he would die. I don't get it.
Well, Smitho, if you're looking for maturity, you've come to the wrong place. Okay.
Some of the content that I've provided to that WhatsApp group in the years gone by, yeah.
Yeah, you fucking heck you up.
Yeah. Questionable character, you like I'll say that right now.
I know, yeah.
He has a dark side anyway, we'll put it that way.
I'm proud of it. I'm
not going to say it. I'm not going to say it, man.
Andy, can you just do a repeat of your initial reaction when you heard the news of Dillian Whyte failing a drugs test, please?
Woo! Evening, Eddie.
I tell you what, though, Dillian Whyte's going to find himself hung out to dry here. He's going to get the O'Hara Davis treatment because he's clearly not the chosen man from a Matchroom perspective. He hasn't been for a long time.
Big baby White.
Yeah, so he's gonna be hung out to dry here, and that's good. That's what he deserves. Fuck him.
Remember, he rocked up to that Tyson Fury fight and never done a stitch of promotion for it or anything like that, eh? And he feels like he's hard done by.
Yeah, he waited 1,000 days and then put that in that performance.
Mate, look, but honestly, for a guy who's not won any real meaningful title whatsoever, I mean, I think he might have won the British title, but I'm not 100% sure on that. I'm not sure if he ever boxed for it or if he did. It was one of them that he won it and then vacated immediately. But he's never won a European title. He's won a couple of these bauble belts, and he's boxed for a world title. So for somebody who's basically completely shit, he's a multi-millionaire, and he's probably sat there now on an IV, loving life, thinking, "Well, I've got all this cash in the bank. Who cares?" It's mad, really, for a guy of his ability.
Yeah, I've said that before. No amateur background either, and he did about 12 pay-per-views shows in between Sky and DAZN. Like, fuck me.
Yeah, and there is one person to blame for that, and that is Edward John Hearn. He's the one that continuously put Dillian Whyte on pay-per-view. I think, he was ultimately, not as big a name as Anthony Joshua, but he wasn't far off. He was one of
He knew how to play the game, didn't he? He knew, go on Soccer Saturday, flip over the table, talk to Coogan. He knew how to fucking market himself. White was cute enough that way. Like, he definitely knew how to play the field.
Pretty sure. I'm just looking at his record now. So, was the first Joshua fight was that pay-per-view or not? Joshua gone to pay-per-view by that point.
He went to pay-per-view Cornish, didn't he, I think?
Yeah. So
Cornish.
20 quid for that. Okay.
Cornish pasty.
Gary Cornish, the Scottish plumber, wasn't he? Eh?
Cornish pasty.
Aye, well, he needed to be a plumber after the holes Joshua punched into him anyway.
But yeah, I'm just looking at White's record now, and look, I think Dave Allen fight wasn't a pay-per-view, but it might well have been on a pay-per-view card, actually. Unless it was on a Warrington card, so I can't remember. No, that wasn't. But you then had Derek Chisora won. Pretty sure that was pay-per-view. Robert Hellenius, I'm pretty sure that was on a pay-per-view card. Lucas Brown, pay-per-view. Joseph Tucker, pay-per-view. Derek Chisora 2, pay-per-view. Oscar Rivas was definitely pay-per-view. And then
allegedly.
I don't think Marius Wack.
Yeah, Marius Wack was when he was in undercard of Andy Ruiz in Saudi.
Yeah, so again, pay-per-view.
Big fat mess, massive fat mess.
Povetkin were the ones in Eddie's. Oh yeah, there we go. Dillian Whyte, Alexander Povetkin, pay-per-view in Eddie's back garden. So again, for a guy who has basically won, as good as nothing. He has had an unbelievable career. He's not won the British title. He's not even won the British title.
He did. He won it against Ian Lewison, vacant, and then he
right, is that what it was? I didn't even
cut him some slack, Aussie man. For fuck's sake, come on.
Sorry, Paul's there. Yeah, he beat Big Ian Lewison. Yeah.
Fuck charging him for drugs. They should charge him for fucking robbery after those fucking 12 pay-per-view for fucking Daddy Brown. Fucking hell, man. Get him for fucking armed robbery for that one. Fucking hell.
Him and Anthony Mundine spent far too much of their career on pay-per-view in their homeland. What the fuck?
Listen, never give a sucker an even break. If you're fucking stupid enough to buy it, you get what you deserve. The fucking, he did a great job marketing himself. Like, lads used to come up to me that I know are not like hardcore fight fans, and they'd be like, "Oh, what do you think of Dillian Whyte?" I'd be like, "How the fuck do you know who he is?" "Oh, I've seen him on fucking Soccer AM." Jesus Christ.
Well, shit. I guess I might know more if only I had Soccer AM.
Oh, you're missing out.
Am I?
It doesn't exist anymore, mate. It's been cancelled, so you're not missing anything now, Matty.
Well, that's a shit. Well, there you go. It's just another sign of the failing economy, right, Oz? It's all on a. It's all like
don't get him started on an economy, for fuck's sake.
Anyhow.
The economy means nothing, mate, when you've got a dodgy stick, because they can put as many pay-per-views on as they want. I won't be watching any of them. Or I will be watching them, but I won't be paying for them.
Amen to the Inferno Twig.
You can't say anything, though, Matty, when the biggest fight of the generation, Crawford and Spence, and they're both Fire Stick users.
Well, yeah, and speaking of, Smitto, did you happen to catch Crawford versus Spence?
Not live, but I have watched it back. It was just, I wanted Crawford to win, don't get me wrong, but I don't pay enough attention to boxing nowadays to be making bold predictions. But just masterclass, absolute masterclass. I've long liked him because he's one of, alongside Golovkin and Kovalev, when I did used to follow it a bit, those three were the killers, the ones that really wanted to knock people out. And I think that appetite to do so across the board was waning a little bit as, safety first comes in and across all boxers. But yeah, obviously Inoue can be added to that more recently. But Crawford, I've always liked him just because he just wants to knock you out. Simple as that. It's great.
Yeah, it's very rare when you see that that kind of performance on the highest levels in boxing. Pound for pound against pound for pound, and just get absolutely destroyed. Inoue against Fulton, getting close to that kind of level. Fulton highly rated by some. Crazy week to see those guys in action like that.
Can I tell you what? Yep. Can I take you back to that? Remember that Fight Hype interview in 2018 where the two of them ran up on each other backstage at some fight, and Bob Arum was there? Do you remember that? Like, Terence Crawford was wearing the beanie, Earl Spence in the red, and they were like going back and forward about who would win. But like, that stuck in my head for years, that fucking confrontation between the two of them. And when you look back at it in hindsight, I know people said, Spence stayed at the weight too long, the car crash, the retina, the dental implants, he didn't have a great camp, whatever. But there was a time in that interview where everything comes to play. Like they're facing each other up, and Crawford's going to him, "You're fat." He's like, "You're fat. Look at you. You're fat. You're out of shape." And he was like, "I'm solid." And he was like, "Oh, well, when I stop you, they're going to say you're too small." And Crawford says to him, "Well, when I stop you, they're going to say you stayed at 147 too long." And he was like, "On my life, you're not stopping me." And he was like, "We could bet $1 million." And Crawford, but like there was so much shit playing on in it. It was like obviously, Earl Spence was saying, "Oh, well, why would I fight you? I just go take the belt off Sean Porter." So the plan was laid out. I think Spence was always being advised by Heyman, keep away from Crawford, keep away from Crawford. We pick up the belts, make it a bigger fight down the line, and he was sticking to the script. But it just got when just that moment when Crawford's like, "You're fat." He was like, "You're too small." He was like, "You're fat. You're not living the life. Like, feel this." And then they were talking about he was like, "Oh, you got hurt by Gamboa," and then Crawford's like, "Yeah." And then what happened? And it's like every moment in Crawford's career since that Gamboa fight, like Postal touched him in the 12th round, then Postal finished the fucking 12th round with his legs shaky. Like Kavaliauskas had a moment, he gets dropped. Benavidez had a moment, he gets dropped. Porter fucking Bomac tells him he's ahead, he gets dropped. There's a different level of competitor, and I just fucking, with all the shit that's going on with Dillian Whyte and Anthony Joshua, I'd rather just watch the epilogue of fucking Crawford and Spence and look at Crawford calling out Charlo in between knockdowns.
I'm
fucking unbelievable. What a fucking guy, man. I'd rather just do fucking Bud Crawford Appreciation Asylum than talk about those fucking morons.
You can't fuck with me, dude.
I finally was able to watch the fight on, just watch regular television since I got back. First time I was able to watch it was this morning, and my fucking God, like I did not know what a fucking horrible beating it was from where I was sitting. That was fucking awful. That was absolutely awful.
It was, mate. I said that to you at the time. It was just. So the thing is, apart from like one round, but like remember like the first, and maybe the round after he got knocked down, it was just sustained beating. That's what it was. See, I don't know. Rob will probably remember it better actually as well. But see, during that epilogue, see when I actually slowed down the footage, you actually watch Crawford Crawford like defending some of Spence's punches. Look at his face. There's no reaction. He's no flustered. He's no panting. He's cool, icily cool. Nothing phased him whatsoever. As soon as you see him actually step in with the slow motion replay with his jab, he kind of stutters it, then he steps in the distance and then he lets it go. The power he gets behind it is actually quite incredible.
Yeah, no, it was a joy to behold, and I don't take any joy from fucking seeing how Spence getting trashed, by the way, because he was good. I'm a big fan of him as well. Like, I just think it puts us in an awkward position now, kind of like when Fury had beaten Wilder in Fury Wilder 2, but there was the rematch clause, and it's going to get activated no matter what. And I think Spence could do better at 54 and could make it look different for a small time, but the outcome is going to be the same. And it's just a big pity now that Canelo has fucked up the fucking plans now, and he can't go straight for Charlo. Because Crawford, I don't know if anyone caught the Hot 97 interview with him during the week, but it was one of the better interviews actually outside the fucking boxing media that he's given. And he was talking about getting blackballed and frozen out and how they didn't want him. And he was like, if it wasn't for Earl Spence, that's why he was thanking him after the fight. He was like, because if it wasn't for him, if he didn't want the fight, they were going to let him go north, and then the belts were all going to fragment, and then I would have had to bet at 35 years of age that I could fight champion after champion after champion back to back to get my dream of being undisputed. And he's like, if Spence had gone north, that would have never happened. Like, so I had to thank him, and that's why he gave him the rematch. Like, so I thought that was like class. And he was saying, like, I don't hate him, I love him, I'm a fan of him, I've always liked him, but it's just business. I just love that about Crawford, but it's just putting us in an awkward position because I would have loved him to see going straight for Charlo. Like, if Charlo wasn't going for Canelo.
Did you catch Charlo's comments at ringside on that epilogue episode?
Looked a bit shook, didn't he?
I forget who he was talking to. I don't know if it was like one of the NBA players.
James Harden, was it the NBA
James
player?
Harden, he plays for he was an NBA player, right? And he's like,
I saw James Harden when I was leaving the Bellagio.
He's talking to you, dude. He says, I'm already undisputed. I did it way before he did it, bro. I'm like, dude, you're flexing too much. Just ignore that shit, man. You got problems in that ring there, right, that you need to take care of.
But talk about it, like talk about a cold-blooded killer. Imagine getting a stare off Crawford, but in the middle of it, he's out the fucking ring going, "You're next. You're next." Oh, what a fucking guy, man! Unbelievable.
Well, the fact, as soon as the fight is over, he's staring Charlo down and fucking telling him what's gonna happen. Like, it's like he's very much on to what the plan is for himself. He's ready to go. He's ready to
He
make
spoke
fucking
about that in
history.
the interview too. He said he used to be always cool with the two Charlos until he became when he was at 140, but when he became a natural rival for Spence, that they kind of turned on him and started talking shit about him. And he was like, you know, Adrian Broner came up to me and was like, "I like you and I like Spence and I think Spence is going to beat you." But he said it to my face and he's like, "I appreciated that more, but I was always cool with the Charlos. When I see him, it was what's up." And then they're in interviews popping shit about me, so I don't care for him. So he's next. Like, fucking unbelievable.
Charlos are a couple of simpletons, though, aren't they?
Charlo's a tough fight for him. I think
Too
he's
emotional.
he's 6 foot tall. Like he's fucking like he's
yeah.
a big dude, big dude. I don't know
Jamel
what.
is, yeah. Jamal's short a bit. I don't know what's up with him.
Yeah, he's gone wacko, isn't he? But Jamel, like he's 6 foot. He's going up to 68. Like it depends what's left of him. If he can get from 68 back down to 54, what's going to be left of him? Like after fighting Canelo for Bud Crawford, it might be the best spot. Like so, I'd like to see it now, but it's obviously not going to happen.
It's an interesting fight. You know, if and they'd probably have to make it sooner rather than later. I saw that they're looking to already elevate Zoo to 154 full champion for
WBO champion.
WBO, yeah. So I don't know. It's interesting. I honestly, Rob, I have an odd thought about if Spence and Crawford rematch. I actually think that that Crawford will win by decision. I don't think that Spence is going to be willing to engage like he was, and if he's not completely just like shot to bits and just fucked, I think he might be able to go 12
He's got no punch resistance left.
pounds.
I think Crawford's just going to punch through him.
Yeah, I could see that. I was just going to say, Steve, like I could see that, but I think with the torn retina and all as well, and a beating like that on top of it, and being drained, like what's that after fucking taken out of him? Because there was no resistance last week from Spence. Yeah, he got a bad hiding, like it wasn't good.
See if you actually watch interviews of Spence come back, like maybe after Leonard Bundu, for example, and to listening to him speak, even in the build up to that fight, even afterwards, man, the marked difference, it's incredible. That guy, I'm convinced now. Actually, I'm not wanting to kind of like do down on what Crawford done to him and that type of thing, and take away from his performance. But questions are coming down that line at some point. Somebody needs to say, "I'm not." Time's up.
Do you think it's a fake Spence, Andy? Do you think it's like a ringer?
No.
I hate all of you.
It's just, you know,
let's get Anthony Crawley on this.
It's uncomfortable to see, and I think it was at BDA boxing podcast they put out. There was a guy.
Shout out to them, yeah.
That was an interesting conversation that they had with that guy. Actually, you know, we mentioned it at the time, or I mentioned it when we were reviewing the fight last week, about the doctor suddenly appearing just before round 5. I'm saying, what the fuck's he doing there? And this guy on that BDA podcast said, he says, because they were hair trigger, they knew beforehand, they knew that he had some sort of neurological issues, or you know, before the fight, and yet they still let him go ahead and you know take 9 rounds of sustained beating, and you know, so it does ask the question, or does beg the question at least. But I agree with Steve. I think his resistance has got. He's shot. He's finished.
Yeah, it's there's definitely that chance. Well, and I think the one thing that could get in the way of the rematch happening is I think it's supposed to happen before the end of the year, if it is to happen. And I kind of feel like Spence needs more than a couple of months of recovery from that before going into camp again. I think that's a potentially dangerous prospect for him. But we do need to move on. Otherwise, we're not going to be able to get into anything, Steve. There was a decent showbox card on Friday night as well there. But Steve, why don't you tell us what you happened to see on Friday night from DAZN in Atlanta, and what I happened to see in about 3/4 speed and messed up audio, and it was very strange, but it was a good knockout.
Yes. So let me get this straight, because there was a lot of stuff going on Friday night. So first of all, I'll give a shout out. I was at the Falls Park to see Podrick McCrory beating Steed Woodall.
Jesus Christ, that's right. You're there too.
I was there. That was a good night, good atmosphere, got absolutely soaked. Shout out to Paul Ferguson and Mick McElway about both there. And also shout out to Stevie Martin, head of security on the night. Is an Asylum listener, Matty. as I wrote in the chat, and he came up to me and he said he listens every week. So shout out to Stevie Martin. He'll no doubt be listening to this at some point during the week.
Oh, that was Steve. That was OTX boxing that I was referencing there.
Yes, OTX was you were referencing. So, yeah, we got McCrory out the way. Sean McComb got a win on that as well against Alejandro Moya. They're talking about putting McCrory out at the SSE Arena, which is quite a big statement. A big, the old Odyssey where Frampton and Conlon used to fight in the beginning of December, and maybe talking about Quigley or somebody. So that should be an interesting sort of domestic all Irish scrap. Showbox just quickly. Jordan Short Dog White knocked out Erickson Garcia in the first round. Absolute blistering KO. This was left hook, if I remember right.
Like, old school 6-inch hook, man. Rob, if you haven't seen this, it was beautiful.
Lovely shot. Really nice shot that was.
Shame on you guys for not watching Showbox. Shame on you guys.
Yeah, shame. Absolute shame on them boys. Paul Kroll got a draw last time on Showbox. He got another one this time against an Argentinian, Guido Emmanuel Schramm. That was a good fight. Me and Matty like the Showbox cards. I'll watch more of them. Also, DAZN, as you mentioned, O'Shea Jones in a female fight against Miranda Barber, Haven Brady Jr. as well. Xavier Ramirez in the Crawford camp suffered his first loss to an undefeated Mexican. And Elijah Pierce in the main event. He was losing the first couple of rounds against Mike Plania, who's a Filipino, and he absolutely iced him with a left hand. And I have the audio. I was going to play it for Bellew of the Week, but I'll play it now for Elijah Pierce. He called out Marlon Tapales, and he wasn't happy about Tapales running from him for supposedly easier options. I'll play it now.
I really want Tapales for them belts because he's trying to get away and still a fight with anyway so he can go ahead and retire, and that's BS. Nah, he need to prove himself some more. He need to go ahead and give me that title shot first, and then let it be champion versus champion. Me versus Inoue.
Yeah, so instead of running off to fight Inoue and all them easy fights, Tapales needs to fight Elijah Pierce first. Matty, I thought that was a good shout out at the end of the DAZN card.
You know, I mean, if you ask for something very, very high, Steve, you have a lot of room to work with in the middle there. So I kind of admire his bargaining technique.
Absolutely. And you mentioned Overtime Boxing very quickly. That was an Overtime Boxing show on DAZN on Friday evening. It was a bit different, let's say. So Overtime Boxing is basically if the fight ends in a draw, they fight an extra round. If that round ends in a draw, then it is officially a draw. If not, the winner gets the money. If there's a first round knockout, there's a bonus. If there's a last round knockout, there's a bonus as well. And the WBC were getting involved in this. They created a WBC OTX belt. So a special overtime belt was on the line for the winner, which was Elijah Pierce.
They love it. Absolutely. I'll tell you what, Steve, that card you were at, by the way, there was a result that really surprised me. Kieran Malloy knocking out Sam O'Maison in a round.
Iced him, yeah.
That's a big statement, that. Yeah. You know, not in the fact that, you know, O'Maison's been stopped, but, you know, he'd been in with Paddy Donovan, Dalton Smith, you know, gone, you know, 6-7 rounds with, you know, with each of them. And for Malloy to go in and just bang him out in a round, that's a real big statement, which I was shocked with. I mean, O'Mason's probably going to go into that, not journeyman sort of role, but, you know, away corner, looking for opportunities. But that's a big win, that, for him. It'll be interesting to see where they go next, because if you're knocking out, you know, English level fighters in a round, the only way is up. So yeah, big win for Kieran Malloy. I think a lot of people will take a look at that and think, yeah, this guy's one to watch.
He definitely is. He can definitely punch. He's a good fighter, and he brings a crowd as well. There's a good
I was going to say
from Galway each time.
Yeah, I remember you mentioning him. He sells a load of tickets, doesn't he? So I think if they're going to do McCrory in, you know, the SSE, they'll chuck Malloy on anyway. Because if you can do 400 or 500, you know, and get him in, you know, maybe you know, some sort of Irish title fight, maybe, you know, make it a bit meaningful for his fans, then, you know, he might even be able to take 500-600 over there. So
where's he from? Galway?
Galway, yeah.
Won't be a dry eye in Supermax if he wins the fucking title.
It's a decent show altogether. McCrory, Matty, and the McComb fights were the two main fights. They were both very good fights. The undercard was just standard fare, to be honest, and we got soaked if I mentioned that.
Well, there you go. It sounds like a good time was had by all, though, and that is what really counts at the end of the day. So, and it was good. Get out of the house, have a good time. It was probably a better environment than Vegas, probably far more wholesome at the very least. Speaking of...
not sure about that.
Wonderful. Speaking of wholesome, Let's want to go to the chat here and see who we got in. We got Jim McDonald Boxing, Andrew Thicket, Snoop Bob, Michael Thompson, Mickey Theo, Ben Russell, Ricky Gravel's in there, Yimmy Yappy, Ben Russell, Slappy Gilmore, SW Box. That's just you, Steve. That doesn't count, does it? Do you count also? Do you count to be in two places at once?
No, don't count me. I don't know what happened. I think I signed in accidentally to Danny Young's as myself.
Barry Murray and Chris Butler as well. Keep going up here. I know there's some other people. AP in there. Let's see here. Boxing Pound for Pound Jack. Porky's Corner has wandered in there as well. Wonderful. Insidious as well. Isn't that a great series of movies? Any of you guys seen those? That's a fantastic bunch of flicks. Haddam is in there as well. Mark Stanton. Let's see here. Josh Ford. Had a pretty diverse bunch in there as well. Didn't we have a fighter that was in there as well, too, that we found out there, Steve?
Maximus Jenkins, yeah. I think he's 2-0 or 3-0.
There you go, Maximus Jenkins. Yep. He is a much better fighter than Minimus Jenkins. We know that for sure.
I'm not so sure.
Let's see here. Got to be one more in here. Oh, there he was. Oh, let's see. Thought I saw one more in there. It was Oz. All right. Let's see here. And Johnny is in there as well. Perfect. What a way to close it out. Thank you, everybody who's in there. Thank you to everyone in the Patreon. Thank you to everyone in the Nutters group. A great bunch on all sorts of fronts there. We really do appreciate our audience and our community very, very much. Moving on, though, unless, did any of you, nobody else in here saw the Showbox card? Nobody else saw what?
Saw a good knockout from a prospect. Was it a Showtime card on Friday night? Who's the guy who hit the guy with a left hook? Was it?
That was on the shore.
Yeah, that's Jordan Short Dog White, Rob.
No, it was an American card, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, Showbox.
Yeah, sorry. I saw that knockout. Sorry, I didn't twig the for a left hook right up my street. Matty, you're dead right. Yeah, good shot.
Just turning the corner there and just flattened him. That was a great
cracking shot.
Oh yeah, that was. You don't get to see that very often. And a developing fighter for sure. It'll be interesting to see where he goes from there. And that fight on there with Paul Kroll and Guido Schramm also good. I'd seen Guido Schramm before on Pro Box card. Get to see a lot of good prospects on there. He was paying about 3-1. Didn't put any money on him, thank God. But I knew that could be a very close fight there. But I can't say anything bad about either fighter. Kind of thought Kroll might have just barely gotten the W on that one. But it was definitely worth your time to check out what happened on Showtime on Friday night. Speaking of Pro Box, though, got a good main event from them that Americans can check out if you are a subscriber on Pro Box ad-free or on their YouTube channel with ads. And that will be available for people through the week. We have a really good main event on there, Steve. You thought that there was almost nothing this week, and I said, actually, this little 130-pound prospect I'm quite keen on, Otar Aranosian, taking on former world champion Roger Gutierrez in an eliminator. Nice way to spend the middle of your week if you have nothing better to do. A little good, what could be a good boxing match to sneak in there.
The sad thing is I have got plenty of things better to do, but I just sit and watch these fights anyway. Roger Gutierrez, good fighter, been at a decent level. I like this Otar Aranosian. He's been on one of the Showbox cards in the past. He scored an upset win over 16-0 Starling Castillo, which is looking like a better win considering Castillo on one of the recent PBC undercards beat 12-0 prospect, highly ranked actually, Esturi Suero. So Aranosian has got the better of that triangle theory. So he's definitely one to watch. And this is a good Pro Box card. I'll catch it by alternative methods on Thursday morning. You there, Matt?
I am here. At least physically, I'm here, Steve. Mentally, I might be elsewhere.
Yes.
Never know about that one. I have a Showtime card sneaking in there on August 12th to go alongside a card that's going to be going on ESPN. Got some simultaneous action going on there. This card is going to be headlined by a 118-pound title fight as those bantamweight titles come back together after Inoue is vacated to 122 pounds. This one, the IBF with Emmanuel Rodriguez taking on Melvin Lopez. Andy, what do you think of this little guy fight?
Sorry, mate, I'm going to get distracted there. What fight's that, sorry?
I hate you. It's going to be on the Showtime card. A vacant IBF bantamweight fight. Emmanuel Rodriguez and Melvin Lopez.
Don't know much about the Melvin Lopez, to be fair. Don't know where he's from. Manny Rodriguez, I think I was ringside. He got iced off anyway. I've not seen him since then either, to be fair, mate. So this, as far as I'm concerned, is probably a 50-50 call. You say it's for a world title as well?
Yeah, it's the vacant IBF because they have a lot of all the title sanctioning bodies.
Might be decent, Andy. I think it'll be a high octane one. I watched a bit of Lopez during the week, and he's quite high energy in and out, and he absolutely iced this one dude on YouTube from what I saw. I hope it was him. The footage could have been absolutely anybody, but he looked pretty high octane, and Rodriguez throws a lot of shots too.
Yep, he doesn't necessarily have any great wins under his belt. His only loss was 2019 against Jose Velasquez, losing by TKO in the 9th. And he was up on all cards at the time of the stoppage.
I just pulled that card up actually, so I'll be talking that Trevon Marshall, that Maestro. I've not seen him since he jobbed
Michael Fox, yeah.
So I don't know what
Marshall's meant to be a prospect, Andy, so that could be an interesting fight, you know.
So Red as well, and obviously Gary Russell, or what one's this? It's Antoine. I think he's quite fast, good power. So I'll keep a wee eye on that one as well.
Yeah, his opponent has 3 draws on their record.
And it's been in the last couple of fights. He's had 2 of them.
Yeah, same guy.
Person. Yeah.
Yep. Just can't seem to get over that hump. So that, Maestre and Marshall, interesting fight. Rodriguez and Lopez, also an interesting fight. Steve, that's not terrible. These PBC cards usually tend to undersell, over-deliver too.
Yeah, it's a solid card. I know I'm a bit of a PBC fanboy, but they get the matchmaking done nicely. Even Maestre, we kind of know him. He has a WBA title, he did have, even though he's only had 4 or 5 fights against Marshall, good prospect. It'd be a high-octane one in the main event. I remember Rodriguez, didn't he get stiffed against that Ray Mark Gaballo, I think, and then he ended up getting beaten by, might have been Donaire. I haven't got the records up in front of me, but the point being, the matchmaker at PBC tends to make good little scraps. So.
Absolutely. So we'll have that one for you folks waking up on the other side of the pond on Sunday morning, and don't know if you're going to want to stay up for any of this. For us in the States, you can pick where you want to go and then watch afterwards, get that DVR rocking, or whatever means you got going on. It is a crazy world. Technology, so many choices. We're going to Glendale, Arizona. It's going to be available on ESPN. Starting at the bottom of the card here. Looks like we got one of the Vargas children, children of Fernando Vargas, Emiliano taking on Jorge Alvarado. Just a 4-round contest there. Also, Lindolfo Delgado taking on Yair Valtierra over 8 rounds at 140. And then we're going to have big man Richard Torres Jr. taking on Willie Jake Jr.
Woo!
Got 2 juniors in there. I guess we got a 4th. That's going to be scheduled for 10 rounds. If it goes that long, we shall see. Raymond Murataya taking on Diego Torres, 10-round lightweight battle. Oz, anything on there that tickles your fancy? Or did he leave or something while I'm looking at the schedule?
Sorry, mate. No, I was just away then. Yeah, sorry.
No,
in terms of the undercard, not particularly. No. I don't really know loads of them. In all honesty, I think it's fair to say that this one is simply all about the main event.
All right, Andy. I think you got a little excited there. You want to see the mustache do his business, don't you, buddy?
Yeah, I do actually. Torres back in action. I see he's had a wee segment or a 25-minute segment issued on ESPN, so I'm going to watch that later on. I see I think he does a bit of ballet dancing in that as well, so doing the Lomachenko skills and that, adding to that repertoire, so I'm interested to see. But this guy's fighting again. I think this is going to be I would imagine another early blowout. I'm looking forward to that Raymond Murataya as well, actually. I think he's got a win over Ryan Garcia in the amateurs, so
He's a
might
good
go
prospect.
He might go far, actually, so keep a wee eye on him as well. I know nothing about the opponent, or was it Diego Nunez? Mexican as well, so you could roll the dice with that one. You just don't know what you're going to get with them. We say it before about those guys, that you could take tough, come to fight, or there could be a bum. You just don't know at this point.
It all depends on what jurisdiction he was fighting in, I guess. But this, all of this could be some interesting looks at prospects there. We'll see as far as that goes. But the main event here is definitely far more interesting. Talking about Oscar Valdez taking on Emmanuel Navarrete at 130 pounds. This looks to be a war. If it goes the distance, I would be shocked. Honestly, on this one, Steve, I think both of these guys fighting above what might be their best weight, but both of them have shown they can hurt. Both of them have shown they can do the hurting. This does look to be like a tasty 130-pound battle. Looking forward to this one. Yourself?
Oh yeah, I'm looking forward to this one as well. Valdez, bit of a drugs cheat in the past. I was trying to think the last time I saw him. Yeah, he fought Shakur Stevenson, didn't he? Since Spence back with a win over Adam Lopez. I'll give Valdez a good shot in this one. Actually, he showed those different wrinkles to his game.
He's the favorite.
Oh right, is he? Okay, I thought Navarrete might be. Well, in that case, I'm going with the grain. With Valdez, Navarrete, definitely a puncher. His last fight was fantastic against Liam Wilson. But the fact of the matter can't be forgotten, is that there was blatant cheating going on in that fight. Not necessarily in the fight itself, although I think there was some kind of counting shenanigans. But the weight beforehand, announcing Navarrete, announcing Liam Wilson at 126.5 pounds, when he's never weighed as low as that in his entire career. In fact, he's weighed as high as 134 pounds. And then people are saying, oh, the scales are dodgy. There's somebody treading on it and there's someone fiddling about. Navarrete jumped on and off like a madman. Wilson's absolutely confused because he's weighed himself in the changing room and he's right under the weight limit. And then all of a sudden he comes in and he's like 4 pounds lower than he is even in the changing rooms. I know I'm not doing a very good job of explaining this, but the point of the matter is there was some real dodgy shenanigans going on with those scales in that fight, and that shouldn't be forgotten. So hopefully they can sort this out this time. The commission will be absolutely bang on it. If Navarrete is going to come in 2 or 3 pounds over, they'll be there to see it, because I think he's going to get beaten. He showed a lot of vulnerabilities. He can definitely punched his way out of that one, but he looked a bit flabby in that fight. I think he's reached his natural conclusion. And Valdez will box him, and not necessarily think he'll stop him, but the weight bullying is definitely over. I'm going for Valdez. And yeah, the cheating, I was reading a few articles after the fight, the Wilson fight. I think he was definitely hard done to in that one. So I'll be pitching for Valdez in this contest. I think he will win.
Interesting. I think this fight could go either way. It is, like I said, Valdez's favorite, but not by a whole lot. One of the reasons that I'm thinking that he might get this, Rob, is just the fact that you know, if he was in this fight of the year, was Navarrete against Liam Wilson, or at least a candidate for fight of the year in February. Wilson, just a huge guy too, 5'9", 130-pound fighter, a big boy from Australia, and Navarrete was able to get through him. I do think there's a chance he'll get caught standing up and by a hook, but I think the power edge does lean towards Navarrete, with the surprise being those weird uppercuts he throws. What are you thinking on this, Rob?
Yeah, I'm a little bit surprised that Valdez isn't the favorite in this. Navarrete hasn't got beaten in a fucking very long time. He's had one defeat early in his career. He's practically like a fucking undefeated fighter. Like, you know, I know Valdez lost to Shakur Special, had wins against Burchell, Conceição, but Scott Quigg. But I don't know. Like, the jury's out for me on Valdez. I think the first time he faced firm opposition, he got soundly beaten by Shakur, and I think Navarrete is in this fight to win it. Like, it's a fucking, you know, like I said, he goes to war a lot. His resume is not fucking loaded with killers, but he's got 2 good wins over Dog Bay. I don't know. I think Navarrete's in with a chance of winning in this. I think it's a 50-50 fight. Whoever gets fucking... I think it'll actually be a really entertaining fight, believe it or not. I think it'll be a bit of a fucking throwback. We might get a surprise candidate for Fight of the Year, I think. Navarrete, that's that type of fighter, isn't it? That's what he brings. Like, so, yeah, I think he's fucking... I think I'm going to go Navarrete for the stoppage here, actually. That's a bold call, isn't it?
Now, I think the stoppage either way is the way to go, because when I'm looking at this fight, and I was just months ago when I was thinking about them fighting each other, I noticed that Valdez really likes to kind of lean in and when he's going to the body, and he just kind of hold his way there. And Navarrete can just sweep you with an uppercut from that position. But at the same time, when Navarrete is coming up with those uppercuts, he could get caught with a sweeping left hook real easily, and Valdez has a good one. So I could
I
see
think,
either guy getting knocked out. They both have it.
yeah, I think this is going to be a really entertaining fight while the schedule kind of sorts itself out. Like I mentioned, we had like a lot of big fights in the first half of the year, and then we're going to have these kind of like fun fights while we're waiting for the next big announcement. And I think this one's going to be real value. Actually, it wouldn't. I'm not going to get up in the middle of the night to see it or whatever. I'll catch it the next day, but I think it's going to be a good value fight. This one.
Absolutely. Oz, where are you going on this one? I think that there's a very rare chance for.
Why is Jimmy Yappy asking me, am I doing some guiding? And I was doing some guiding today. Is he watching me as well as the fucking government? What's the... Fuck off.
I just think there's a very rare chance here for Navarrete to be in 2 Fight of the Year candidates in the same year.
Yeah, I agree.
It's all lined up that could be a possibility.
I agree. Yeah, I don't see how these styles just do not. Basically, I don't see how they won't gel. I think it's going to be all action. I think there's going to be loads of shots being thrown. I don't see it being, this cautious approach. I completely agree with you. I think you can see the knockout coming from either side. I think both fighters have got the vulnerabilities with the style that they adopt. Rob makes a good point that Navarrete is as good as, I think that defeat came in his first like 5 or 6 fights or something like that, over 10 years ago. He's pretty much knocked out everybody since, aside from 1 or 2 other people. So it's going to be all action. I'm going to side with Navarrete by stoppage as well. I think that... Not that Valdez is, look, Stevenson is unbelievable, and there's no shame in losing to that, but I'm not going to look into that, that Lopez win on the way back, from where, he lost rounds against him as well, and Lopez is, he's just a steady Eddie, okay fighter. I do wonder, that this is his first, obviously, real test. Well, it is his first real test since losing to Shakur Stevenson, and not necessarily did it take something out of him, but, we're talking levels here. And, yeah, Navarrete isn't of Stevenson's level. But, he's, if Stevenson's as good as elite, Navarrete is world class. And I think, he may well just have a bit too much for Oscar Valdez. But I think it's going to go, I don't think it's going to be early. I think it's going to be a stoppage. It's coming late, in the fight, in the championship rounds. And it might well be... I don't think it will be, a clean 1-punch KO. I think it'll be a sustained beating that probably, the referee jumps in, or, so many punches cause, like an eye injury, something along those lines. I don't see it being a clean KO. I think it'll be a sustained beating that causes it. But I agree. There's every chance that this has got all the ingredients to be another fight of the year.
It is a little bit of fun in the towards the end of summer. Andy, this is a fight where I could see either guy touching the canvas. Maybe there's something I'm not seeing. Could this be one of those instances where they're so aware of each other's power that they both try to box smart, and somehow this fight fails to deliver?
Possibly, maybe, but I think just with both of them being Mexican, considering the styles, I think the styles could gel. Navarrete's got that output. He's got the longer reach. Sorry. Not too sure about the height and that. It was interesting to see as well, because obviously I don't think Valdez is what he was. Certainly, he was only the same fighter that he was at 126 anyway. I was actually maybe kind of gobsmacked to hear that he was actually starting as a favourite. I thought Navarrete might have started as a favourite, actually, to be honest with you. But there you go. But yeah, I think we'll have moments where it'll catch fire. But I'm siding with Navarrete, actually. I think Navarrete will pound out a bit of... go by decision, actually, to be fair. I just think Valdez is now at that point in his career where he's had problems with weight in previous fights. He's been in some tough fights, obviously, in that as well.
Well, looking at the shenanigans with the Wilson fight, so has Navarrete. I don't know that I'd bank everything on that.
I wouldn't bank everything on it, to be fair, but I would say out of the two of them, I would definitely favour Navarrete. I think because again against Conceição, Valdez. That is, I thought Conceição, the fight was there for him to win that. I think he was a wee bit more aggressive. Just kind of just engaged a wee bit more because as I say, I thought the fight was there to be had. I think the scorecards were a bit. But well, one of them was a bit of disgrace, to be fair. And obviously, he done nothing against Stevenson, which again, Stevenson's a special fighter, but again, he got dropped. I just think the time is now. He could be pickings for him, to be fair. And plus, as well, we have been an all Mexican derby as well. To be fair, and I think it's got to kick off, hasn't it? It really has. But I'm siding Navarrete on points.
Navarrete on points, he says. It definitely is going to be an interesting fight. One we're looking forward to. Will it be the Mexican fireworks that we often see? Is it perhaps a surprise dead? I don't know. The odds are definitely in the favor that this is going to be a war. We'll see how it goes down there. But the people, Steve, generally leaning towards Navarrete there. A little value maybe on Mr. Navarrete, paying a little bit better than even money. So we shall see. I haven't seen what the standings are for the prediction league, though. I can't remember what I picked. So Joe Kennedy needs to get on that. We'll see how it's going here. But I assume that one will be on there. I'll look at that Johnny with the good old 79p. But yeah, that looks like a decent weekend of boxing. A couple of good fights on there, at least. Some questions to be had about how the card is going to look and who Joshua's opponent might or might not be coming up on Saturday. But with that, Steve, I think we have it covered, and we can head into the value of the week.
Excellent stuff, Matty. Thank you very much. Value of the week for episode 534. Matty's here, Andy's here, Ozzy's here, and Rapping Rob Kelly is here as well. Terence Crawford, 2-weight undisputed champion, but he's in good company, apparently. He's not the only one, as one lady was very quick to remind us all.
What they gotta say now?
Oh, I seen that, man. I was like, how did you actually make that all about yourself here, eh?
Get in there and make it about yourself, Clarissa. Don't let the fucking haters talk to you. Do you know what I mean?
She is not a likable character, is she? Terence Crawford just got that massive career-defining win, which everybody's been banging on about, that he needs to get. Not just career-defining the way he did it. He absolutely destroyed Errol Spence. And you've got Clarissa Shields in the backstage while you're celebrating, making it all about her.
How many pints, mate?
Yeah, 2 times.
2 pints?
3 pints.
No pints.
I thought you said how many times. No, mate. 4 litres of acid or something like that. Yeah, basically just leave my decaying corpse there just on the floor, and yeah, she can have away then, because I'm not doing anything where I'm in control.
It's pretty emphatic anyway.
Quite like the goat myself.
100%.
They strang thighs, is it, Steve?
Oh, I love a bit of the goat. She is a parody character, though, isn't she? By this point, like
Looking around with fucking 4 belts after that.
Could we just go back to that?
She's got 8 belts. She's got 8 belts. Remember, she's 2-time. She's 2-time.
Can we go back to that clip? Because last time I saw her, she was going bald every time I saw her. So yeah, she got her hairline sorted out or not?
I think she has. Yeah, she.
Well, that's her empowerment, isn't it? It's the battle of the hairlines. Forget about the fucking cross-gender promotion. It's
fucking Keith High time, fucking Thurman, man.
He's a value of the week calling himself.
Oh, he's coming. Yeah, he's coming for this week.
He's coming. Shout out to friend of the pod, Declan Graffin, who threw in 199 earlier. He was out last weekend at the Spence Crawford show, but he sent this one in to me.
Was he? He's out getting married, soft boy. He's out getting married.
See
He
that?
was
Buying
a
that
little
pussy.
fuck.
That's what he's doing, man. He's...
Oh, fucking selling his soul. Forget about the fights.
Well, anyway,
joking back. Congratulations.
He's a chancer, is Declan. Rumour has it that this shot to the temple Errol Spence Jr. took while doing pad work with Derek James is what sealed the deal for him on fight night. Could Derek James have done this purposefully? He has been accused of potentially rigging fights against these boxers before. Here they come. Here they come.
See that guy's profile? He hasn't got a hashtag to the LDBC, has he? Because the ones that I've been seeing are like, honestly, man, you would think of a death in the family. There's people actually crying about Errol Spence taking an L last week more than what their fucking grandparents when they died. There's fucking literally people tweeting this shit. I mean, what is wrong with you?
Minister Louis Farrakhan couldn't sleep. Minister, see him? Minister Louis Farrakhan, he was giving a song. He said, I couldn't sleep. I like Bud Crawford too, but I couldn't sleep after the beating the poor brother Errol took.
I'll tell you though, how many times do we see this after a big fight now that if, there's never ever a legit winner because there's always a conspiracy theory behind it, whether it be dodgy gloves or you've actually got here somebody accusing a trainer of hitting him with a temple shot to jeopardise it in the fight. Because of social media, there is no such thing now from where a fighter can just win. There's always a theory behind it as to why said person got beat, or it's a fix, it's corrupt, glove gate, we've got a coach gate
right.
here, what's next?
You're dead right, but there's one guy who's responsible for taking it to the next level, and I'm certainly not going to tell him. But it was Wilder, because the LDBC were making all these wild glove gate claims, and nobody was taking them serious. And then Wilder picked up on it, started saying that fucking Breland poisoned his water or whatever. And Tyson Fury had an egg weight in the glove. A fucking 1 minute fucking monologue video with spooky X-Files music going off in the background. And that's the fucking protocol now, isn't it? Like, I was saying that last week, it's going to happen. They're coming out this week saying, oh, Bud wraps his own hands. So what does that tell you? His gloves are loaded. But shut the fuck up. Like, the fucking Nevada commissioner, they're looking at him and the cameras on him. Loading his gloves or what? Like, fuck off.
Yeah, it really makes it easier to put something, under your wraps when you're using one hand to wrap the other. If Crawford had maybe a third hand growing out of his ass, I could see that as a possibility, but it doesn't bid well for you there.
Well, there's a lot of upset, Matty, no less than the WBC. They put out an Errol Spence appreciation post. Dear Errol, you will always be our champion. We will always support you. Defeats are part of life, and we know you are a resilient human being that will overcome this moment. Whatever's next, you can always count with the WBC.
They don't give a shit about Errol Spence's health.
Do you see this, Al? Do you see what we said, Al?
Didn't they do this to Stephen Fulton as well?
No.
Probably. I don't know. I didn't see.
I'm sure they did it for Stephen Fulton as well.
Did they for Dillian Whyte when they got iced off Tyson Fury?
No, I think they secretly celebrated about that, didn't they?
Yeah. Aye. Lawsuit over.
It's anyone who's bringing them in money, Ozzy. The tiers will be shedding now. They're not going to get the sanctioning fees, are they?
Yeah, exactly.
Amazing,
that.
eh? Amazing.
Oh dear. That's WBC for you. There's Scott Quigg getting a photo done while he's having his hair done. I don't know whether it was the British Hair Clinic or not.
Oh no, another one who's succumbing to this vain bollocks.
Scott Quigg. Yeah, it's about time to step it up, man.
Hey, mate, his nose is looking fine and straight these days. He's got that fixed as well.
He looks like a different person. I was like, this is not Scott Quigg. What the fuck is this got to do with him?
Yeah, I thought it was Jordan Henderson lying down. I genuinely thought it was.
Are you sure he's not having a frontal lobotomy?
Hopefully.
Adding stuff in, maybe.
If it's Scott Quigg, mate, he's already had it done.
I was going to say, can you imagine though, Quigg comes back, they randomly put him on TV and he comes back with like a perm or something like that because of this.
Robbie Davis.
Quigg coming in this nice new nose, and then he comes with a perm.
I was with you, Oz, up until you said Scott Quigg could be doing some punditry. I don't think so, man.
Scott Wig booms.
Quigg and six.
Oh dear. Chuck Crew's come in as well. He said White's jerk chicken was contaminated. Fucking Chuck Crew. Oh dear.
Is that?
I had a bit of jerk chicken last week at the Bray Air Show. I think mine was contaminated. That's why I was fucking laid on the pod. Fellas complaining about me fucking Thinking Steve is fucking taking shots at me. Fucking, I tell you what.
Yeah, having a dig.
Yeah, having a dig at me. You don't know the sacrifices I'm making. If a woman's in there, she's fucking not ours like Kim Kardashian, and she's not happy. And I'll tell you where she's gone now, to bed, because I'm out here talking to you fucking ages about David Avanesian and these characters. You don't know what I'm fucking
his
going
gardening
through.
routine.
Yeah, exactly. Fucking assholes.
Well, there's clearly something foul afoot.
Oh, there certainly is, Matty. There certainly is. Tell you what, there's something foul afoot about Dillian Whyte, but he has the representation he needs now because Michelle Joy Phelps has quit the boxing scene to become a sports lawyer.
Big loss.
That's Joe Saunders will be raging at that news, by the
way. I don't know why you're giving a hard time to a gal who's chasing her dreams.
No, not at all. She's going to chase Dillian Whyte's dreams for him and maybe help get him out of this mess. Were you a behind the gloves listener, Matty?
No, I was not.
No, me neither, to be honest.
I'd kind of like to see MJP have her own Judge Judy show down the line. Like, I think that's fucking. I'd watch that. Like, she has the voice for it, doesn't she?
She's into the UFOs, isn't she?
Is she?
Yeah,
she's talking about all her good points.
Yeah, she's had a sighting.
Has she?
Past, a probing. Maybe I don't know about the last.
The thing is, do you really want to be represented by a lawyer who thinks the best way to deal with ISIS is to nuke the Middle East? Do you really want that representation? No.
It's very Final Solution-esque there. I worry.
Exactly. Very right-wing.
It's like you go to see her and she gives you the Better Call Saul. Look, you want a new ID, a new life. You can't go back. You're like, shit, just fucking up on a fucking weed charge. Let's see what we can do here.
A shout out to MJP.
She'll be the next UFO hearing Congress.
Or Richard D. Hall. MJP and Richard D. Hall.
MJP and Richard D. There you are. Got a ring to it, maybe. Anthony Joshua reacts to Crawford beating Spence. It's not the error we know. There you are.
See, he is cloned. We knew it.
Last few minutes, see? Tell you, Andy was right all along. It's not the real Errol Spence.
Pash.
What's he talking about? No. He only knows him 6 fucking weeks.
That's what I mean.
How else does he know him? Fuck's sake. I know fucking Dom fucking Henry better than he knows fucking Errol Spence. I only met him once.
I watched that second episode.
Or Dom McMahon, whoever he is.
The Showtime documentary they did for his fight. And let me tell you, Joshua was just basically supporting Spence because he's in the same fucking camp. It's clear that he had no idea what he was talking about.
Well, none of us can understand what he's talking about. AJ's not going to be able to understand him either, Andy.
Yeah, well, I think he was talking about Spence, actually.
Tell him about Big Meech. Anyway, are you on LinkedIn? So are we. Give our page a follow here. IFL Matty is on LinkedIn now.
Great bunch of lads.
There you go, Steve. Well, they're bound to find you and steal you away now, Steve. It is coming to pass.
No,
Steve will work for him. He's no corrupt.
Well, he's fucking bigger fool. He should be corrupt. Take the money, Steve. If they find you, take it.
Nobody has offered him enough. What the?
Nobody's
a
offered
great
me
bunch
anything.
of fucking share companies you can be connected to there on LinkedIn.
Big fan of IFL TV, mate. Right, Callum Morrison has a different opinion on the whole AJ White drugs fiasco. People can hate on Eddie all they want, but his Matchroom cards are superb. Not just the main event, but so much depth to the cards. Other promoters' cards have been some absolute stinkers, except the main event. And up until the main event, the stands have been pretty much empty. At least with the Matchroom show, you were getting a great night's boxing from start to finish.
I mean, see that shit. That shit read like 2015. That's where that shit belongs, because if anybody's still saying that shit these days about a Matchroom show, hasn't been watching boxing for long. If you think that's enjoyable shit, man, because as we just mentioned there, we watch some horrible shit every week, and yet this seems how the Matchroom card seems to get passed off as some.
And that's just what Ricky Gravel sends us in the fucking DMs.
Oh dear, shout out to Ricky Gravel. Shout out to Ryan Deal as well, by the way, Andy. He's got the answer to the Eddie's dilemma. Eric Molina on line 1.
Oh, brilliant. Remember that, actually. Eric Molina, big Eric.
Revenge or repeat.
Dragged off the surgeon's table to go and fucking prop up a card. I forget who it was against. It was some jobber, I think. Oh, fuck.
Meanwhile, Chris Lovejoy is sitting here chilling. Nobody's fucking thinking about making that phone call to Don King to make this shit happen.
Sitting smoking that stogie, chilling and willing, but nah, no phone call incoming.
No phone calls yet. Peter Adam, he's jumping in as well. If I was DAZN, I'd be looking into this. Seems a bit convenient. The 2 big pay-per-view events they put on in the UK have ended up with adverse findings. Maybe they're juicing, or maybe there is a degree of sabotage ongoing. Be interesting to see what comes out.
Tell he's a fucking Rangers fan, him, couldn't you? Look at
It's obvious, eh?
Jesus Christ.
I'm sure
out of his mind.
I'm sure I've got him fucking blocked as well.
You need to abandon him quick, Andy.
Oh, hey, no, it's not so much that. It's just because he's always like anything that kicks off, man. He's always one of the first ones on Twitter to fucking White Knight Eddie for some reason. Fucking no idea, man. I think he might even end up deleting that. I'm sure he even blocked that guy as well. Or if I don't, I'm going to block him now. He's just one of the arse sniffers, man. Can't be dealing with him.
Can't be dealing with them. Saudi money paid White to step aside so Joshua could have an easier warm-up fight, and the Wilder on the same night as Fury Usyk. Boxing is corrupt to the core, says Father 2076. They're all flying in.
That makes more sense.
That makes more sense. There's another one. Making a brief return to Boxing X solely to laugh at everyone involved, says really nice Derek, which is a troll post, flights, hotel, tickets, etc. And then Levi jumped in, all good laughing, but that's how much I'm down from the fight being cancelled. My young one is back to school in 2 or 3 weeks and doesn't even have their box or rugby kit yet.
Well, wait a minute here, by the way. It's not our fault that you didn't plan all that shit. I mean, what's he looking?
He's not the wind up thing, but he's not fucking
What's he leave it for the last 2 weeks for? Because you can't buy them in the last 2-3 weeks anyway. You've got to fucking buy it online because you've left it too late. Poor planning by Levi here, by the way. I'm sorry.
You're a terrible parent.
I'd fucking hate to be going anywhere where Andy, he wouldn't like me, like, because I'm on time for nothing, but I have a feeling he's on fucking time for everything. Andy Patterson, he's fucking on time.
Listen, if I tell you I'll be there at 7, man, I'll be there at 7.
I give it just people approximate times about.
I'll not be like Rob. Hey, listen, by the way, it's 8 p.m. start. Fuck it, I'm rolling at 9:45 by, and I'll fuck off the listeners at the same time.
Yeah, exactly.
Creating that heat.
Time is only a concept, you know what I mean?
Circular time from Rob. Creating that heat, says Andy. The heat is on for Dave Caldwell and breathe. It's getting hot in here. First hyperbaric oxygen therapy session today.
What's he doing, man? He looks like Maverick there, eh?
Whatever you're into. Give me Michael Hutchins shit. I don't know what's going on in it, but just give me that vibe. I don't know really what's going on.
Boosting the red blood cells, I think they looks like that.
Absolutely.
Just get some EPO. Yeah, that'll take quicker.
Who doesn't need a bit of that shit in their life? You know what I mean?
Oh, Matthew Macklin, man. He's got to be near the top of this one.
Undisputed champion of fucking self-awareness. Here he comes.
Well, Macklin says disaster, really, and just another thing, isn't it? I don't know what other things he could be referring to. At what point do we, the boxing community, say enough is enough? I think the whole sport needs a complete restructure. And then he starts talking about UFC. Fuck up all the belts, says Macklin.
He says, what's he say? Fuck the belts, sanctioning bodies, and everybody that wants to be signed to this new outfit automatically agrees to 365. Who could be funding this? Do you think?
Aye, exactly. And he goes on to this one as well. So they've obviously done the fag packet maths. He says all the revenue goes direct to the organisations that then pays for the testing and also distributes the money better. I.e., instead of one fighter earning $30 million, it'd be better to see 10 fighters making 3. Yeah, so you're going to start picking people to the like earning powers and stuff. I think you're going to tell Floyd Mayweather, oh, by the way, you're not going to be earning whatever it was to fight Conor McGregor. You're going to tell Conor McGregor that he can't earn $100 million for fighting Floyd Mayweather. No. Fuck off.
See, I think it's always refreshing when fellas who were named by the Criminal Assets Bureau as been sitting in cartel leaders' houses when they were being seized has a tough stance against drugs in boxing. I think it's fucking refreshing. I don't know what the problem is with Macklin, why he gets so much flack. But then again, I'm a hypocrite as well, isn't he? Because fucking allegedly fucking a great bunch of lads are bestos with Crawford as well, and I can't stop talking about him. So fucking I'm a hypocrite as well. I watched them fucking all of them.
Yeah, the rumours are the weekend that it's coming to a head, but we shall wait and see. Floyd Mayweather was mentioned there. They call me Money Mayweather for a reason. Now I'm ready to show you why and how. After 6 months of building, I'm finally revealing the mindset that made me a billionaire athlete, an unbeaten champ, and the first to build billion-dollar boxing brand. I've dominated the ring, played life by my own rules, and built a legacy that allows me to live exactly how I please. It wasn't luck, it was strategy, mindset, and relentless hustle. I've kept the media against him, but now I'm peeling back the curtain and laying it all out. He hasn't written this himself, has he? Introducing the Level Up Challenge, a rare, unprecedented opportunity for you, Rob, to get an all-access pass inside my mind over 7 hard-hitting days. I'll share the invaluable lessons around money, success, and winning.
Listen,
Wait a minute.
I've a mate who'd go for this. If I send it to him now, right, screenshot me that, I WhatsApp it to him, and I guarantee he'd be signed up, and we can get a fucking live, because he was on a yacht with Andrew Tate one time, and he was fucking at another thing with another guy, one of these, Dan Penny or one of these guys. So give me this screenshot, I'll send it to the guy, and we'll get fucking live updates from the fly camp. And I'm sure they'll be fucking very insightful. He gave insights into a new betting company called Betify this week, and he did an ad for it in his home in true Floyd Mayweather fashion, where he just said, "Get the money, get the money, get the money. Life is about taking that chance. So I want y'all to get over to Betify and take that chance by making a bet, so you can get the money, get the money, get the money." Verbatim. Off he went.
Are we going to gambling
fucking 10 bags for that? Like, so.
The only thing I've got a question is, see with his spending habits, do we really believe he's a fucking billionaire?
I don't know.
I mean, he's still fighting, man, for Christ's sake.
Depends on what country.
It kind of goes by, if you look at the Showtime epilogue, you'll see the caliber of fucking accomplice he had with him at ringside. I think he's up there. I think he's seriously up there. If he's not there, he's knocking on the door.
Shout out to Floyd knocking on the door of his Floyd course. Tony Bellew's been dug up. Hang him and all like him. He was talking about Carlos Baldemir back in 2019. Andrew Davis tweeted him there in August 2019, almost to the day. Nice to hear from you, Tony. Your silence very unusual. Hey, you hear about Dillian Whyte failing a drugs test, mate. Covered up pre-fight by Eddie and the team. Let the fight go on without telling Rivas. He didn't get hurt, luckily enough, but fucking naughty, don't you think? Tony, a bit back. I know the facts, and until you do, I would suggest you don't comment. I stand by my previous stance to ban all PED cheats for life. What I do know is Dillian did pass a VADA test 48 hours before his UCAD test, and also another 3 VADA tests. VADA is the most stringent testing also. So there you go. That could apply to this one, Rob, maybe 5 years later.
He made a very cryptic. I was going to say cryptic. I was like, fucking, what's his name off fucking Foods and Horses? I was like, quiet. He put out a cryptic tweet today, Bellew, didn't he? He said, "I think I know the answer to this, but what do most people prefer, cats or dogs?" And then Oz put a tweet back to him, was like, "What did Dillian Whyte vote?" Because he fucking got popped and he blamed the dogs. So he's finally kept to his promise that he made on that IFL fucking 4 years ago, where he said he was going to disappear, because there's not a fucking... Normally he's the most outspoken man on Twitter. Even when Bud Crawford and Spence had their moment, he was out bullshitting about Conor Benn, but not a fucking word out of him today about this Joshua White thing. Like, so...
That's the beauty of this whole situation, right? So the news pops that Dillian Whyte's failed for the 3rd or 4th time, as Ozzy says, the drugs test. And you've got fucking him on there shouting the odds. It's absolutely fucking brilliant. But Tony Bellew gets blamed for it, right? Because people are all tagging Tony Bellew into fucking everything. What are you going to say now then, Tony? Not a fucking word, mate. Not a word. Oh, fuck me. It's absolutely glorious how this is all just unfolded, man.
You know, Steve, like, all I really ask of boxers outside of the ring is, you know, don't use performance-enhancing drugs and don't molest children. And we've been failed on both fronts in this one screen cap. It's a really disappointing day.
Well, yes, absolutely, Matty. Where do you go from there? Who knows? Let's continue on. Talking smart with Pew and McCart on IFL. Are you trying to get me signed up for this, Matty, a minute ago?
Now, those guys, they don't molest children.
Jesus Christ. Fucking hell.
I said they don't.
Who are these two, by the way? Just moving on swiftly.
I don't know who Pew is, to be honest with you.
Pew looks like a photo feed. I'm not gonna lie, like he's fucking. I wouldn't say what Maddie said, but
I thought the one on the left looks like the offspring of fucking Elon Musk, to be fair.
What's going on with these guys?
Yeah, that's really
talking smart.
That's Andy McCarthy, IFL, on the right hand side there.
Oh, he's pretty good though, isn't he? Is he the Scottish guy?
Aye, he's for Edinburgh. Aye.
Yeah, he's not the worst, is he?
Well, he's all right. To be fair, I've spoken to him a couple of times. He's brand new with me, and that. To be fair,
Is he going
I
to the
think he's
boxing
good.
brunch?
I'm not sure. Coogan won't end up covering that, surely. Eh? By the way, how's
This is
paying?
gonna do a bomb now, isn't it? This.
Look at the favours Coogan's had to call in here by to try and fill this place out. How's he
Tell you
paying
what,
them?
by the way,
How's he
this
paying his
fucking
water bill?
go back to that poster. Who the fuck? This poster is false advertising because these two fools are not going to be at that brunch. First of all, right?
You
The
think
two
like
in the
they
circle.
are, don't you?
Yeah, it looks like it's boxing brunch with fucking Anthony Joshua and Dillian Whyte seen as their fucking faces are on the poster, but it's not as boxing brunch with Gad and Spencer Oliver. You know what I mean?
90-minute
bottomless beers,
wines, cocktails.
Bottomless Bosch is going to be there as well, isn't he? Like his sort.
You just know that the Bosch army is going to be in there drinking the place fucking dry.
What's going on with the new generation, by the way? I tell you what, like, right?
Oh shit, man!
I've never really like. There's a couple of fighters where I would have like in my life where I would have thought to myself like, I'd love to meet that guy, or I wouldn't mind just hearing what he had to say about X, Y, Z, or whatever. Never in the world, no disrespect to the lads that we know, whatever, in boxing news and Ames and all those good guys, like, but never in my life would I want to go and meet some of the boxing media. That's what this thing is advertised. Come and meet boxing media. I don't want to fucking meet those guys. What you want? I want to meet fucking Parsons and all these characters. I don't give a shit about these people. Why the fuck do I want to meet these, let alone pay for the fucking privilege? Fuck off, will you?
Is it shout out to Boxing Asylum Live, Rob?
Yeah, apart from that, that's just going to go fucking. That's going to be a hoolie. Let me tell you. Well, you see the guests we have that on that night. We have well, you're giving the game away now, Steve. Like I probably shouldn't tell the listeners, but we have Father Dave lined up for a flight. We have Dr. Joseph Ajew. We have Donny Baseball in fucking full outfit. We've got a lot of the guys.
He'll be like an extra fucking Magnum PI, fucking Donny Baseball.
The comedy stylings of Donny Baseball.
We've got Donny Baseball talking about his favorite movies. We've got a lot of the guys that we helped on the way up, like Eddie Hearn, Tommy Fury. So get your tickets now for Boxing Asylum Live. It's coming soon.
Yep, coming soon. People do ask for that actually, but could you imagine us trying to organise?
It's only going to be fucking Dom and Ricky Gravel in it if we do it. It's not going to be no one else there.
Matt Butters might join us.
See if we were organising that, man, we'd be like Matchroom under Barry Hair, man. We'd be holding it in a leisure centre or something.
I'll stop. We'd be doing like the fucking Matchroom shows where we don't show the seats that are not fucking full and all. We just show fucking Ricky and Dom sitting in the front having a great time.
AP saying in the chat there, Boxing Asylum Live at the Regency. Can you imagine?
It'd be a blast.
Probably get it for cheap.
Okay, Jesus, man. Sponsored by Ammo.
Why can't we just have it in Eddie Hearn's garden?
Exactly. Just hold a big fucking tent on it or something like that, you know.
Oh dear. Well, I mean, here's a promo for you, Andy. If this doesn't get you pumped up for boxing and brunch, nothing will.
This is Fight Club. Come on in.
No, wait a minute here.
Jesus Christ almighty.
This is my first time seeing this,
Fucking
so
hell.
can you please pardon my wee bit kind of astonishment at this, but see the way he just says, come on in. What the fuck is that? Creepy, man. Come on.
Friend of the pod, the guard, man.
What do you say about a guy like that? Like, he's definitely fucking one. Like, boxing just attracts these guys, doesn't it? Like, what other sport would you get a guy going around like that middle-aged man on a motorcycle in leather pants with big long hair looking like Bono saying, fucking come on in a sleeveless face? That is just normal. Fuck off, like.
Oh dear. Anyway, the last one I've got here, Eddie
Sure,
Hearn
no one
going
would
in.
mind.
Eddie Hearn going in on John Fury. He says the thing with John Fury, he gets in all these situations where he starts on everyone, takes his shirt off, and then doesn't actually do anything. But I just know that I'm going to be the first one when he does. There you are. Eddie,
See,
ready
but,
to-
let's hope so.
I take Eddie's point though. He's actually spot on there because that's if John Fury even thinks about lifting a hand or a finger to anybody, you can't where he's going. By the way, he's either getting knocked out like he did in the ring, or he's getting sent back to jail. So he's going to fucking behave himself. So I actually agree with Eddie with that one. Actually, to be fair.
Yep. We wish you well. Cadel take games. Friend of the Gad.
Ain't gonna do nothing.
Those are the Gad's friends there. Right, those are the ones I've got. Matty's had to run, so I'll close us down. Ozzy's disappeared. Any from you, Andy, this week?
You got the Matthew Macklin one, mate. I already had that one. Simon Jordan obviously getting involved, calling out Eddie. And Eddie must have his name on notifications because he was quick with a response actually to Simon Jordan, who was just laying into him basically. You know how it goes. I want to chuck in obviously the poverty boxing result there last night. That Robin Krajnicki got a DQ win against Najib Mohammadi. Not boring with the details, but Mohammadi, who was actually looking like he could win the fight, got deducted 5 points. Yeah, 5 points, and then got DQ'd in the 9th round.
Dodgy as hell, wasn't it? You were saying
complete bullshit. And then the referee is in for a photograph with Robin Krajnicki after the fight, shaking his hand, having a wee laugh, that type of thing. It's just blatant corruption. I mean, they'll talk about homecoming anyway. So we'll just throw that one in there just for the bants. And I don't know if anybody caught this, but I seen something on ESPN last night. It was a baseball game. I never watched baseball, but it was a quick link, and it was two guys fucking squaring off for fucking showdown, right? The guy's name was Jose Ramirez, and he was fucking basically fisting off with this guy called Tim Anderson, right? Who's a glass jaw fraud. Anderson, I think he was the catcher or whatever it was. Anyway, starts John with this guy, takes the catcher's glove off and starts fucking getting into the boxing pose, stands as southpaw. Anyway, your man Ramirez here thinks he's fucking Javonte Davis, fucking drops a right hand there at the top, man, sends your man Anderson fucking ice to the floor, just hasn't got a clue where he is, and next minute the entire bench is just empty onto the field and they're fucking battling away. So I shout out to Jose Ramirez, man. That man knows how to throw a right hand.
That super fucker starting a fight in a fucking pitch full of fellas with fucking baseball bats. Bright idea, asshole.
Oh man, it was fucking wild. What a shot it was. So I went for Tim Anderson for just starting the shit and then showing he's got a glass jaw actually. So
they had to carry him off, by the way. To see the other angle of it, they carried it was like 3 or 4 people carried him away. Like he really fucking got rocked. Like he got rocked to the core.
It's like he said, like 12 pints, man. He's hit the fresh air. And it's like, oh, dude, I need help up the road here.
It was very reminiscent of fucking Iran Barkley, Thomas Hearns. Actually, he had his head low and he winged the fucking right hand in over the top, fucking, and your man never recovered.
Yep. And one for Sam Jones, mate, for making the call 1 month to basically save Derek Chisora from himself, and then the next month he's fucking calling for him to fight AJ next. So this week we've had Dillian Whyte pop positive, we've had Bellew getting roasted for no reason, and you've got fucking people inboxing calling for Chisora to get a shot of getting massacred possibly, and you've got Matthew Macklin fucking lack of fucking any awareness whatsoever, wanting a sugar daddy to come in to save the fucking sport, and wants to basically clamp down on what fighters can earn. Absolutely glorious elite times in this sport, mate. We went for the highs of last weekend to the absolute shithole of this week. It's been fucking tremendous.
It's an amazing sport, Andy, for people with complete amnesia as to their previous comments and absolutely brilliant virtue signaling, isn't it, every week?
Oh man, Pierre Bellew. Oh, I feel fucking sorry for him. As I say, she's getting roasted for it. And he's not even said anything yet. I don't think. Well, I've seen anyway, so fucking hell.
Yeah, I think he's finally copping on. The best thing to do in these situations is shut the fuck up. Just shut up. It's taking a while for the penny to drop, but I think it's got there.
Oh, but you got to understand, Bellew will do what Bellew fucking wants. Mates.
Mates.
Certainly will. That all the ones from you, Andy? Yeah.
That's me, mate.
Rob, what have you got, please?
I've got Keith one-time Thurman on a plane, holding a fucking press conference on a plane, talking about how he's never been defeated. He has a BL. He doesn't have an L because he barely lost. So in his own mind, he's still undefeated. So he has a BL, not a BBL, not to be confused with a BBL. They're two different things. But he has a BL, and he's telling people this on a plane. Listen, Keith Thurman, as fucking, Crawford said, when I came to 147, he was the one saying I was too small and I had no belt and I wasn't to be taken seriously and he had bigger fish to fry. And now the minute I win the world title, he's coming back begging for a fucking shot. So Thurman just put a load of laughing faces under his fucking Instagram call out. Like, he's not going to fight fucking Keith Thurman at this age. But Keith, man, is high as a fucking the cloud that he was floating on in that plane. He needs to stay up in the fucking mountain in Kathmandu and stay the fuck away from Terence Crawford if he wants to have a fucking. This motherfucker, he fights once every 18 months. Who is he fucking fooling? He fumbled the bag. You had the chance to beat Manny Pacquiao. You got the old version of Manny, and he still fucked you up. One-time Thurman hasn't one-timed anybody since fucking 2013 or something like.
Dropped him
And
his
he's
ass
up
in
in
60 seconds.
He's up at 50,000 feet calling for Terence Crawford. He better off staying there, I think.
Mate, he's a better jump out of the plane without a parachute and calling Crawford at this point, man.
What with Crawford, and that's the real big pity about Crawford re-signing with Arum, that you didn't get to see him against fucking Garcia and Thurman, because he would have fucking beat the living shit out of the two of them too, no doubt about it. But
Thurman's not smoking weed these days, man. It's going to be spice or fucking mushrooms or something.
Or else he's just on high grade Cali shit where he's just fucking, do you know what I mean? He's on something because he spent fucking 45 minutes or something talking to Maddie and Donnie at the same time. That's fucking got to tell you something. Do you know what I mean? So, so Thurman for that, Clarissa Shields for her obviously her infraction in the fucking dressing room, and calling for this Thurman fight, by the way, and Serrano for ducking that smoke with my baby Baumgartner there. She doesn't want it. She's doing We Are the World records in the fucking ring, talking about unifying all the women when Baumgartner's there looking for the smoke.
Oh, did you see Heather Harlan try to make weight, by the way?
No, but I'd watch it.
I don't know. No, well, she looked like kind of like hunched up. I don't know if she was ill or something like that. I didn't see the fight, so I don't know how it went.
She's fucking terrible, isn't she? She's terrible, isn't she?
I don't know why they dragged her out.
She's game, like, but fuck me, it's terrible. But yeah, that's a quiet week. I think Andy kind of summed it up. Like, we had the highs of last week. Like, fuck me, we've had some 2023 for big fights where promoters are finally fucking cottoned on that the market is fucking dry. You need to cross promote to fucking make the most money. Good for the fight fans. We're getting like these major fights. Like, Tank and Ryan was a massive fight. Like, Spence and Crawford, a massive fight. Inoue, Fulton, one for the purists. Like, you know, the two fucking best going at it, fucking generational talents fighting each other. Haney, Lomachenko, high level shit. Like,
even Benavidez Plant.
Benavidez Plant, you're dead right. Forgot about them too. Like, Plant and fucking Benavidez delivered like badass Benavidez. They're fucking with a 168 title now. So there's so much good shit that we could be talking about. But then we have to come in this week, and he's just failed another test, hasn't he? Like, fucking had to 12 pay-per-views, the most privileged fucking B-level heavyweight. Frank Bruno must be looking at the telly, man, throwing hammers at it, thinking about getting knocked out at Wembley by Bone Crusher Smith, having to fucking go to the depths against Lennox Lewis, having to fucking finally get fucking his shot against Oliver McCall, getting paid peanuts along the way, getting beat up by Mike Tyson, and Dillian Whyte kicked up with his feet up, watching the fire stick, eating jerk chicken, popping, blaming his dogs for fucking for failing fucking steroid tests on another pay-per-view event after getting fucking his head orbited by Tyson Fury. Like, he's some neck on him, hasn't he, to fail a drugs test? Jesus Christ. Like, and the fact that we have to talk about this after witnessing fucking greatness last week is just the biggest kick in the balls as a boxing fan. It just brings it back down to earth. Like, so fuck these two. I don't care about the heavyweight division at the moment. It's on ice for me. The whole lot of them are as culpable as each other, but this is just comical. And our old friend, I hate to kick a man when he's down, and I wouldn't do it to Aaron Spence, and I wouldn't do it to Edward J. Hearn when he's having a fucking mare at the moment. Isn't he fucking hell, man? It's almost as if he's getting karma for his fucking other shit that he's doing. I don't know what he's doing, but you know what I mean? It's almost like payback for that shit, isn't it? Like,
What do you think the corners of power were like at VADA when the news broke that Dillian Whyte, and who was going to inform Eddie of the news? I bet they were all fighting for fucking access to send that email.
I bet you they told someone under the zone roster who's close to him to tell him to break the news to him, so he wouldn't take it as hard. While we're on it, one final one for 0-on-1 professional boxer. There's a lot of them there. There's Nate Diaz, and as well as that, there's our old friend Conor McGregor. Saweetie, the rapper, who formerly dated, she might have dated one of the Migos or one of them, I'm not sure. She dated someone anyway famous, but she's famous in her own right. Girl rapper, and she walked Amanda Serrano to the ring last night. So McGregor was obviously tuned in. And he tweeted, "Fuck this, give me Sweetie's number." And then he deleted it. So obviously fucking horned out of it, looking at the telly like the rest of us, but just couldn't resist the chance to shoot his shot. So fucking belly of the week for that one as well. Look at White there. Jesus Christ.
That's what I was going to say, Rob. I was going to go through them all again, but it's got to be Dillian for me, Rob, man. He's just got to win, hasn't he?
He did nothing. As far as I'm concerned, he did nothing. I think people should just let him have the fight. Let him have the fucking fight at this. Nobody cares if these two are doping, really, do they? Like, let him have the fucking fight.
But
Fuck,
the thing is,
fuck the outrage. Just let him fight.
I thought his statement was pretty clear, mate. I thought it was emphatic. He said he's innocent.
He didn't do it.
He didn't do it. You know, he hasn't doped in his life before. You know, hasn't failed any tests or anything like that. It's all misunderstandings. Just move on with our life.
Dan Rayfield said he thinks he might be lying.
Oh man!
Oh, I'm going for Dillian. Andy, who are you going for?
I really wanted to go for Macklin, actually, to be fair. I think he's an absolute throbber of a nightmare as well, actually. Fucking Jesus Christ.
Okay.
What a benefactor of sport.
Yeah.
Fucking Jesus.
One for White, one for Macklin. Go on then, Rob, the decision is yours, or maybe it's going to be a three-way tie.
No, Macklin is good as well, isn't it? Like of all the people to be calling for a crackdown, and this is the area he wants to focus on. You know what I mean? It's fucking unbelievable. But like I said before, Macklin don't give a fuck, does he? He just turns up this guy every week, like nothing to see here, guys. Just give me the fucking script here. Yeah, I'll stick to it. You know what I mean? Bean's nowhere to be seen. Macklin is still here with a fucking injunction on him. He can't go to the fucking US. Nah, just keep your commentary job on Sky.
We got to fucking nickname Matthew Macklin fucking Halo or Brass Neck or something like that, you know. It's some fucking brass neck.
Teflon.
Teflon Don,
Asbestos Macklin. All right, then we'll give it to Macklin and Dillian together. They can share the award for Value of the Week for episode 5.
It's a bad August for Dillian Whyte, isn't it? It's a bad August for him.
Aye, we're only 6 days into it, too. The thing is, there's one thing you can depend on in life. It doesn't matter how cold, dead on your feet, hungry, whatever the case may be, you just know one thing is guaranteed in life. There's far more worse shite to come.
Absolutely. In the
One of
sport
the
of
best,
boxing,
Dylan.
there's
Even
always
Eddie.
shit coming. There's always shit to come. Congratulations, boys. You are the winners for episode 5, 3, 4 of the Value of the Week. Let me see here. I had a comment from Marcus Bellinger, which will be out of date next week, so I'll read it out here. He says, "Hey lads, for those who like a bet, and I know Matty is one of them, some rather interesting and I would say surprising odds for Navarrete Valdez. I should say these prices are with Paddy Power, so odds might vary. But the fight not to go the distance is priced at 13-8, and depending on who you favour, Navarrete by KO TKO is 9-2, and Valdez by KO or TKO is 7-2. Keep up the good work. Cheers, Marcus, and fuck the heavyweights." So there, bit of betting advice for you there, Rob.
So to go points, load on points then.
Load on points. Well, I was going to give a shout out to our super chatters as well. Let's see who they were. Declan Graffin, aka Declan Graffin. Shout out to him. He threw in a 199, and Johnny threw in a 79p as well. And also shout out to the 3 boys who joined us.
That was it, wasn't it, Steve?
What is it?
That was it, was it? For certain,
That was it.
Super
That was
Chatters, 250 with. Cheers, lads.
I think we owe more tax on that. than we get.
Shout out to the Super Chatters. Fuck off with the Super Chatters. Fuck's sake, 250. Fucking hell. 3 hours. Give me stick for not coming off for this. Fucking hell. What was he doing with a face on her? I don't know.
On a face on her for £2.48.
What did you get? I got a 6 to 250. That's what I got.
Not even 248, whatever it was.
you would get more money if you fucking sat in the street begging, man.
Exactly. And more cunts to listen to you.
Probably even get a cup of tea made for you or delivered to you as well.
You probably couldn't in most places for that price, could you?
You probably even get a fucking a double egg and chip sandwich or something like that as well.
Declan's in the pay shop, to be fair.
I know, Declan's a great guy, and he had a wedding to pay for fuck's sake. Yeah, but he didn't call in on the night of his wedding. I noticed that. Amateur.
But hang on, mate. He's just had a wedding to pay for, but he's gonna be paying for it for the rest of his fucking life.
Exactly. Paying for the rest of your born days. Welcome to hell, Declan.
He's no money now, man. He doesn't realise that money's now hers.
I think he knows.
Yeah, I got married during the pandemic. Why didn't all you get a hold of me and fucking have an intervention? Fuck's sake, I'm not gonna marry a type. You know what I mean?
I couldn't get them to stop you.
That 199 might get withdrawn under yes before we would end the pod quickly.
I'm on the fucking Coronas here, like Frotch on fighting out in Spain.
Rob's enjoying life. Patreon.com/Boxing Asylum. We had John Morrissey sign up over there this week. Terry Woodfine as well. And Trucker Mick. So shout out to John Morrissey, Terry Woodfine, and Trucker Mick, who joined Patreon.com/Boxing Asylum. Shout out to Stevie Martin as well, who I mentioned earlier, who listens every week. We had Ozzy with us earlier. Shout out to him. Smido was on the call. Danny Flexen was on as well. Andy was here. Rob, Matty, and me, Steve. I'll be in the hot seat, I think, for episode 535. We'll be all back again next week, if not before. We're going to do a post-fight pod. Probably won't bother our asses now, Andy, given that the AJ Whyte fight's off. Maybe.
You don't want to do post-fight pod for AJ Chisora? I tell you, it could be the fucking post-fight. If Derek Del Boy, only fools and horses work, manages to fucking pull off the fucking unthinkable, could you imagine the post-fight pod?
Even worse, Bob, I think what happens if you've been collapsed in the ring or something? We could end up with blood on our hands, man. That fight should not be taking place if that's what they do. I don't want to be part of that.
I tell you what.
What if it's a draw? You know what I mean?
If Del Boy
think about Maddie here.
If Del Boy were to pull that off, man, we should just come on here and just retire, just on site.
Yeah,
that is the end of Edward John Hearn. That is the end.
You better go and pick up them Jordans because it's over.
Scotch Earth policy time, by the way. We're going to lay fucking siege to every cunt's getting it.
But seriously, what if AJ, what if, because according to David Hay, fucking Derek Chisora has been training with the camp that he had for Usyk because he's always been the backup and he knew White was going to fail a drugs test. So what if fucking Derek Chisora could take AJ past 6 rounds next week? And next week we're having the fucking. Obviously, we're going to do a post-fight pod. Like, obviously, if fucking Derek Chisora beats AJ, aren't we? Like,
oh, it could be arranged. I would imagine.
Oh man, I don't know.
I don't know if I could handle it, man. I would need like half an hour to prepare myself before I came on because
I miss Hado. Like, I listened back to the fucking one when Ruiz beat AJ. What was wrong with me? Like, I was fucking pumped up. My heart. I could feel my heart beating for the fucking pod. Scenes.
I was a bit pumped as well. Actually. I was like screaming in the mic. I was like, could you imagine that prick lost the fucking McCracken? Hold, jab. He couldn't fucking do it.
I was fucking in the middle of the night watching it live, like, and I was trying to DM the fucking Boxing Asylum Twitter fucking DM group. And I was tweeting some fucking American rapper instead, giving him a round by round update. I never bothered to check the fucking woke up next morning like a right toe after fucking said, oh shit, fucking Ruiz has got him, fucking woo, and all I was writing in the fucking yoke.
There you go, boys. That's usually the off-air bit, but we'll finish up now. Thanks to everybody for listening. Hit the like and subscribe if you want. If we get 100 subscribers, we'll try and do a post-fight pod if we can. We'll catch you all again same time.
I forgot we're still on here.
Same time, same place next week. Bye.
We'll never forget.
We'll never forget.
I think that's good at me.
Go to and move!
We want to be honest, yeah?
Crying like a little bitch. I've never met a fucking swank that can fight me.
I fell asleep. I fell asleep.
You're a fucking bum, you're a fucking asshole.
Rumpo fucking Steltskin.
But allegedly, Oscar Rivas has failed a test.
7-year ain't. 7-year ain't.
I will fucking smash fucking you.
I hope you fucking die.
Be safe.
I love Boxing Asylum. It's as simple as that.